Pissed off. Pissed off. Pissed off. Pissed off. Pissed off. Pissed off.
All right, hello, hello. Just turn all this on. Okay, hi guys. You know what? I really wish I had some chocolate. I want chocolate, man. I had my edibles were delivered. Oh, now she runs away. I couldn't make the bed because, like, a lot of times I can't make the bed because she won't get off the damn bed. And you know, a cat, like, you don't remove them from the bed. The bed, you know the rules. And now she gets off the bed as soon as I start. I swear to God. Jesus. Yeah, just kind of chill. I didn't want to like do much makeup or anything because I'm just like, ugh, it's whatever. I just wanted to kind of like hang out for a little bit and have a bit of a palette cleanser stream so we can stop talking about the stupid shit. You know, just want something different to like do. Anyway. All right. Anyway, hello everybody. Let me see. Okay. Hey Scarborough. Hey Diana. Glitter Flame. Hello. Oh, freaking hell. I forgot to take my enzymes. Mr. Prism. Hey. Pomp. Zombie J. Ken. Hey, Ken. Seamless Rhymes. Hello from Australia. Just Jane, first time. Can't stay long. Yeah, no worries. I know it is late at night too. I was just like, you know what? I just want to like hang out. Like the other night that we were like watching the Matt Rife stuff, and we watched a bunch of other things. That was just kind of fun. I mean, that was a fun night. You know. I have my light turned down, so like the quality of the camera isn't the greatest. But like, why are my hands so red? I've been noticing this in the last few months. I don't know why. Do you guys see how it looks worse on camera? Wait, I think. Well, let me see. It doesn't look good in person, but it does look worse. Oh my God, it looks so bad on camera. I don't know why this is a thing. Is there something wrong with me? I don't know. I've been like trying to hide my hands from the camera a lot too, because when I go to edit, it's like it's okay if I'm doing this, but I'm missing a nail. But if I do this, it's like, oof, God, I don't know what's going on with it. No stupid shite Sunday. Yeah, that sounds like a good one, actually, Ken. Red hair dye. No, it's been my hands have been doing this for a while, but like they are warm, but like they're often I don't like my hands when they're warm. Like it like feels swollen. But they look like more red. I mean, there's probably something wrong with me, right? Why are my hands, no, it's my palms actually, palms red? Is this bad? increased blood flow to the capillaries from pregnancy, hormonal changes. See, I could see hormonal changes. Like, that happens when you get older. But my doctor, like, tested everything. And he's like, oh, it's fine. Thyroid, that does run in the family. Rheumatoid, he keeps testing me my thyroid and rheumatoid. It says liver too. I guess I could get him to test my liver enzymes, but I haven't had any other signs of things with liver, so I don't think so. But I guess I gotta make appointments with my doctor. It's so cold and snowy. I've just been waiting for spring. I don't want to deal with this. Like, I don't want to deal with I don't want to deal with running around to appointments. I'm doing everything once a month. All my appointments, all my like errands, laundry, like everything. I'm just trying to go out like once or twice a month. Just like my city I'm in, I don't want to give it away. Where I am is so bad. We've literally beat records. We've never snowed this much. It has been snowing here for 4 weeks. They like ran out of, well, our mayor sucks, and the snow plow budget was out of money in the first like 3 days. That's on the mayor. He's horrible. I know him from before. But like, yeah, they're panicking. They don't know where to put the snow. They don't know how to get rid of, like, there's just so much snow, which our city normally gets a lot of snow, but this is insane. We've never snowed for 4 weeks. In the last 4 weeks, we've gotten 9 feet of snow. And that's what they've recorded on as an average for a whole city. Some areas in our city have had 15 feet. Some areas like I'm down at the water, and we're kind of like at the bottom of the, like a hill, because our city's kind of like, there's water, then there's like hills, all of Canada, like we have the most lakes in the world, right? So there's water everywhere. But depending where you are, like, so anyway, everyone up on the hill has been reporting like 15 feet of snow. We've gotten like 7 or 8. Like, it's been insane. So I'm literally like, I'm so done with winter. I'm trying to like not go out if I don't have to go out. So I'm kind of waiting. Yeah. Palmer arrhythmia can have many causes. That's what I just Googled. But you probably don't have increased estrogen. No, I don't think so. I mean, my doctor like tested me for stuff. Like, he tested my hormones, because I'm like having trouble growing hair, which is why I can't grow my eyebrows in anymore. So I was like, can you test my hormones? And he did. And it's like, he's like, you're fine. There's nothing like, there's no what do they call it? Premenopause, perimenopause, whatever. There's none of that. Yeah, he's like, you're fine. So I'm like, well, what is it? And he's like, stress. I'm like, yeah, I am like overly stressed, and it's not YouTube stuff. It's life stuff. So, I do believe that the stress is getting to me. So, that color's nice and you. I mean, same color. It's the fuchsia color. The lighting is down. But what I'm trying to do is because I'm like noticing, I don't like the way that my roots are looking when they're growing in with the black hair, because my hair is like not as thick as it used to be. So I'm like really not liking it. So I kind of want to have like red, because it hides what I don't like about my roots, because my roots are very light. So it looks like I'm like balding, but I'm like not balding. I just have like thinner light hair. Like, anyway, vitamin D deficiency. I know he told me I was dangerously deficient in vitamin D, and I've been taking insane amounts of it for like the last 6 months. So, like, I'm taking a thing that can cause red skin, but my hands were doing this before I started taking this. So I'm taking a thing that helps with like skin and stuff, but they feel hot. So like, there's definitely more blood going to the hands. So I'm not really sure what the hell's going on. I'm going to have to set up a doctor appointment. I'm really waiting for this winter to end, man. Yeah, it's been like -25 and -30, and it's still friggin' snowing, which is weird. Like, it doesn't normally, so normally around here it's warmer, which is why it snows so much. But like, we rarely get snow when it's like this cold. So it's been very strange. This winter has been insane. It's been really bad and insane. So I'm just kind of like, I just want it to go away. I'm waiting for winter to pass, because I also need to go see my eye doctor too. So that's another thing. Did you get side effects from taking vitamin D? I I don't know. Like I've always found that like when I was taking vitamin D, I was noticing I was getting like more kidney issues, but now I think I've figured out that these kidney issues kind of run in the family, and as long as I have to drink, if I drink a Gatorade a day, then that seems to keep it under control, because otherwise I just drink water. But just water doesn't stay in our bodies. We actually need like a Gatorade. Although, like, to be fair, I don't care for salt, so there isn't much salt in my diet, and I do have POTS, and every once in a while I have to do a big salt intake just because I get like a flare up from the POTS because my salt is so low. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to ask him what's going on. Like my hands feel hotter, and normally my hands are cold. Like they've always been cold my whole life, but I prefer my hands to be cold. So I don't know what's going on with them. Perry is a nightmare. Yeah, that's the thing. I'm not even sure that I'll notice when I go through menopause, to be honest, because having fibromyalgia feels like menopause and the flu. Like that, it's just constant. Yeah, he tests my thyroid because my mom has thyroid disease problems, and he always tests me for lupus because that can act like fibro, and he's like, lupus and Lyme disease and stuff can even show up later in life. Like it can show up later on a blood test, even if you got like bit by a tick, for instance, or if this thing was around all these years for 10 years or whatever, there are rare cases where it does show back up. So my doctor will test me for those, like usually once a year, once every couple of years, but no, all the tests come back normal. And it's not rheumatoid arthritis because they test me for that all the time. They test to see if I have any inflammation markers, and like I never do. So it's just like all my tests always come back normal, and they're like, it must be the fibro. But I'm like, it's so weird. Well, the only thing that hasn't come back normal, and I've said to them, I have like, so with MS, you either need a handful of large lesions on your brain, or you need like hundreds of tiny ones, right? That's the two types of MS. That's how they diagnose it. But I have like 15 tiny lesions. And like, yeah, and so like I personally believe that fibro is a form of MS because they first were diagnosing me with MS, and like I have like it all matches. And then I have friends who have MS, and I'm like, it's very similar. Like fibro and MS are extremely similar. Like to a T. And I do think fibro is a form of MS because nobody's studying fibromyalgia enough. There's no money in it. There's no nothing. There's no like scientific studies, even though there's like more and more people are being diagnosed with it. It's like, I think we need to define it. And I think that if we got like, personally, I think that, people with fibro should all have to go for an MRI because everyone I've talked to that's had an MRI, they have lesions on their brain. They just don't have very many. So I do think that it's a form of MS. That being said, like for the longest time, they're like, oh, fibro's not autoimmune, fibro not autoimmune. Now they're like, yeah, okay, it is autoimmune. I'm like, yeah, that's what I've been saying. So when you have these autoimmune disorders, you end up getting comorbidities, you end up getting like random other crap wrong with you. And then you also get like worse or sicker if you catch a cold or whatever. So yeah. Have you recovered from the epic 9-hour stream? I still have a quarter of it to watch. Yeah, no, yes and no. Like I've been having really bad insomnia, but I have been out of my edibles, so I just got a delivery of edibles. So, I've been like wanting to sleep, but my body's like, nah, screw you, you're not gonna sleep. Your girlfriend has fibro? Yeah. And the thing is, like, they like to diagnose people with fibro for doctors that just don't want to actually do the tests and don't want to actually investigate it, right? Now, my doctors have, trust me, I've been tested like crazy everything. And I have a neurologist, I've had a rheumatologist, I have a pain doctor. Like my doctors do test me for everything all the time. And when I first got diagnosed, they thought that I had a brain tumor because I've lost 10% of my vision in my eye, and I had like a big blind spot in it at first when I was having the MS attack, because I have been diagnosed as a one-time MS attack, which is like a diagnosis, but you don't get diagnosed with MS. It's like you do get diagnosed. So it's called if you Google it, you Google multiple sclerosis, purgatory, there's a lot of us that are in this in between, right? And so I have lost my vision, and my vision is getting worse. I do need to go see the eye doctor. Um, so yeah. But anyway, yeah, so they thought I had a brain tumor. Then they're like, because it's optic neuritis, and then they're like, oh, you don't have a brain tumor, but we think you have MS. And then they sent me to the neurologist, and neurologist's like, well, you don't have the correct lesions for MS, but you have lesions. And I'm like, well, isn't it concerning that I have lesions? Like, isn't that isn't that a concern? Um, so then he diagnosed me, like he sees me every year. Wait, I do like an MRI every year. And then because I have severe migraines as well, like severe chronic migraines, he helps take care of that as well. So, um, but yeah, so anyway, point is they've tested me for everything, and even my doctor still tests me for a lot of stuff as I go too. So I don't know. But, I don't think my last blood test, I don't think he tested my liver enzyme, so maybe I'll ask him to do that. Um, but I prefer, there is actually some herbal stuff that I can take, so maybe I should actually do a round of that, because if my liver enzymes come back all like whatever shitty, then they're going to want to take me off these meds that actually help my body, like help with my pain. So, um, let me see if this cleanse is back. Oh, no. There is actually a herbal concoction that I buy. Oh, there it is. Okay, perfect. So what I do is I usually just do like a month of this. I don't know, every year. And I feel like it helps. I do feel like it helps. So here, I'm just going to do this. Just going to buy this real quick while I'm thinking of it. Um, Yeah, I used to do it more often though, so I don't, it has been a while since I've done this cleanse thing. So I think I will do it. I think that it does, it's got all the correct herbs in it to help stimulate the liver. It's not like one of those whatever, I don't know how to explain it. Anyway, if you go to like herbal things, you see like these boxes and you drink this crap and they're like, oh, it cleanses your liver. No, that doesn't do anything. I actually buy like, it's a herbal mix, and it's in a pill, and 90 capsules. So I do 90 days. Actually, I think it's 2 a day. Is it 1 a day? Whatever. I just take it till it's gone. You don't want to take this all the time. I just take it till it's gone. And then I do think that that keeps my liver in check, because they put me on a lot of meds that are supposed to mess up my liver before in the past to test to see if this will like help my migraines. And then I took this. Hey, Ray, how's it going? And I took this, and then they're like, oh, everything's coming back normal in your blood test. That's really good news. So I'm just like, I do think that this is what's helping, to be honest, because it's got all the good stuff. It's got milk thistle, artichoke, turmeric, dandelion as well. And it does the gallbladder and the liver. Artichoke, turmeric, dandelion, milk thistle. Yeah, that's pretty. That's all. That's all that's in it. So it's a Canadian company. It works well. The thing is, like, sometimes it'll be like not available for like a year or something. It's weird. It didn't used to be that bad. So gotta get up early for work. Yeah, no worries, Jeff. Yeah, yeah. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. Let's look at some stuff together and just whatever. 1 second. Hold on. Oh, hold on. Let me fix this and see. It kind of like shrinks it a bit. Here. Let me just, I'll just remove the background, and then if Katie comes back, then I'll just, if she comes back, then I'll put her back in. But this way I can be a little bit bigger. All right. So I was thinking about just like, we could look at some stuff for funsies. Where is it? There it is. And just kind of hang out for a little bit. this gonna work? Are you gonna work? There we go. All right. I don't know what this is. I was trying to grab something from here. Okay, so okay. Also, I was like trying to edit this picture and I couldn't get it like to fill the area. It was like not looking good, so I threw it in AI and look what it did to Miss Kitty's face. Look at her face. Doesn't that look so crazy? All right, anyway. Let me grab this one sec. Here. I want you guys, I want to look at this together. Okay? Hold on. Let's look at Susan. I wanted to look at this post. I didn't know if I wanted to. I've been saying to Susan, okay, so what's been happening, just to like let you guys know what's been going on with Susan, because I'm like, I want to interview her and do a video about this. So, Susan has been, yeah, did I say I want chocolate? Yes, Ken, I really want some chocolate, man. I know, I want some chocolate. I don't have any chocolate. Chocolate's like, I love chocolate, so if it's in the house, it doesn't last long, so. Okay, so Susan, she has been systematically getting harassed by the UFO community. The crazy ones, you know, the ones that are on like those conspiracy podcasts, and the ones that like feature on what the hell is that guy's podcast? And he pushes like supplements, and he's always talking about right-wing weird crap and like red pill things and UFOs and conspiracy theories and what's his name? I can't remember. It's those people, all right? So she's been getting harassed by them a lot. And so then I was like, not even just the Star Seeds ones. So yeah, she's cute. She has a little thing there. Yeah, Rogan. Yeah, Seth Rogen. And those, it's that like circle of the internet, okay? So so it's funny, she showed up, and her group. So what Susan does, if you guys don't know, as well, like, you know, I've had her on my show before and everything, but she runs this group called what is it? It's GSOW. It's Guerrilla Skeptics of Wikipedia or something like that. So essentially what they do is Wikipedia has been maintained, like Wikipedia is accurate and is a good reference point because of this group of people. Her and her group, which are, it's a lot of people, it's worldwide. She's connected everyone online. It's like a big project of hers, right? And so her and her people maintain Wikipedia. It's all volunteer work, but they double check so that if you put up a article that says that the aliens have landed yesterday or today, then her group will be like, give me the proof. And if you can't provide the proof, then they remove your article. So like Wikipedia has been maintained by this group of people. So the UFO people really don't like her, you know, as you can imagine, because they make up crap. And when she's like, when any of them are like, it's not just her, like it's people in the whole, you know, her whole group. They're like, well, show us proof that this happened. And then nobody can give proof. So then they remove the article. Right. So recently, it was like a few months back, actually, they tried to do this like Wikipedia entry for like this guy. I can't remember his name, guys. Okay. I'm going off the top of my head. There was this guy and his daughter, and she still runs the, like, she kind of does the conventions and stuff. And so they were trying to say that this guy was responsible for all these things and did all these things that are just not true. And so then they tried to do this like Wikipedia article about him, and then they put in stuff about the daughter that's not true. And like so like the daughter and the guy who's passed already, but like they want that stuff in there, right? They're trying to say that this is like what makes them an expert in aliens. So her group is like, no, this is all BS. Like, you can't give us, they even said, like, just give us one article to prove that you did this thing that you're claiming that you did. And they can't. So it's like, well, we're not going to keep it in Wikipedia. That's the rules, right? So they've now been coming at her really hard, the whole community, and they've developed this whole conspiracy theory that Susan is is a CIA agent, and the work that she does on Wikipedia is the government trying to control the narrative, and that Wikipedia can't be trusted because Susan is a CIA agent. All right. So now her and her group, her name is showing up in the Epstein files. So she's just like, she's like, oh my God. She's like, I'm in the Epstein files, as well as a mention of the work done by the Wikipedia team. She's like, if only they had mentioned our name and given our website, and also mentioned that I'm trying to find people to train. Cause yeah, she's always looking for people, especially if you speak a different language. And she really, they're looking for people who are scientists who can confirm and debunk or like fact check any scientific articles that show up. They're really short on people with science degrees, so they're really looking for that. If anyone's watching, I don't think scientists necessarily watch YouTube, but you know, if you're watching, they really need scientists. I think really biology and chemistry is where they're really like short on people. All right. And she said, maybe then I wouldn't be forever fighting for donations and people to train if they at least mentioned everything. She's like, what will it take for people to take us seriously? The paranormal world. See, it's funny. She's like, the paranormal world understands what a threat we are to misinformation, but our community, like us in the paranormal community and the debunk community, we're like, yeah, this is important, because if they weren't doing this work, Wikipedia would be a cesspool. It would just be like AI garbage, right? And so Wikipedia, like, and that's thing, Wikipedia wanted to start doing AI stuff, and then everyone like pushed back. So like Wikipedia is like the only thing left, I swear, on the internet that is not inundated with AI and that has real human people checking and reference checking everything, right? Yeah, if you have a degree, you should reach out to Susan for sure. Let me see if her, let me see, she's got her website. Does she have her website anywhere? I know she's given it to me before. Yeah, it's the Gorilla Skeptics. Does she have her? She has a website. Let me just find it. Here. She writes for Skeptical Inquirer all the time too. So, here it is. All right, About Time Project. So this is her website, and you can sign up to become an editor. They really do need people with science degrees and stuff. They really do need some help with that stuff. So for sure, yeah. Like if you can help, that'd be great, because definitely it's something that they really need. So, and also if you speak any other languages, because it helps them translate documents and things like that too, right? Pepperidge Farm remembers when you weren't allowed to use Wikipedia as a source. And this is the thing that's crazy, right? I use Wikipedia as a source in some of my deep dives, and I have like these weird like teachers that pop into my comments, and they're like, oh, Wikipedia is not an accurate source. I'm like, actually, it's more accurate than most of the stuff online, because like I know this group is actually like fact checking everything. They make sure that all the links are working. They fact check everything. If there's a problem with an article, you can report it to them, and they will like check it, clean it up, like whatever too, right? But they're always looking now. Yeah, people are using ChatGPT as a source. AI is as dumb as we are, because AI has been trained off of our stupid crap that we put online. And this is what people don't really understand, right? AI doesn't know everything, because AI also has taken all the misinformation. Like when they feed AI, they gave the whole internet to AI. So AI doesn't know what's true and what's not true. So it has both answers, and it gives you both, right? So, yeah, Wikipedia, what you want to do with Wikipedia is you look at the references, and you go down and you look at the articles, and then you look at the art. If the articles are solid, then you're like, yeah, okay. But see, I have even more trust in them now, because I know about Susan's organization. So it's like these like teachers sometimes will comment on my videos and complain about Wikipedia. And I'm like, dude, Wikipedia is a way better source than the majority of stuff. Like you guys, you teachers are, some of you old school teachers are still hanging on to this idea that Wikipedia is BS, but it's not. It's technically, it's a collection of essays written by scholars, like technically, because it's even written like an essay, and it has references and everything. It has like, footnote and references. Like nobody out there is doing that anymore, right? So, yeah. hmm Well, and that's the thing. Usually, most of the stuff I say, most of my big points that I make in a lot of my debunking videos, my video essays, I make sure that I have 3 sources. That was always like the rule. I like writing essays, so that was always like the rule when we were told about writing essays. Find at least 3 sources to back your argument. Right? There's some things I might say that I'm like, I just saw this in one source, but it's not important to the whole, like it's not tangential. Fuck. What's that word? I don't think that that's right. Transcend. That was a fibro thing. Whatever. It doesn't make or break my argument. So like those things, I'll like tend to just be like, oh, I saw it in 1 or 2 places, maybe 1. But things that like actually back my argument, things that like make my argument, I make sure I have at least 3 sources, right? And Wikipedia is a great starting off point. So, so yeah, side tangent, but like, so I've been telling Susan, like, why don't we meet and do like an interview where we can discuss what's been going on with you, right? Because like, and this is funny because she's like, our community knows what they do for Wikipedia. Like our community is like transcendent. I don't think it was transcendental. No, I think it's no, it's transcendental is spiritual. Tan, I can't think of the word. It's a different word. It's not transcendental. Oh my God, I can't think of the word. It's like tangent. Now I'm totally like just tongue tied. It'll come to me one day. It'll come to me later. All right, Mr. Prism, have a good one. It's like it'll come to me later. Okay, so I thought that this was really interesting that we ended up in the freaking in the Epstein files. See, my brain is like giving out on me right now. So I thought we could just look at this really quickly because I'm like, this is crazy. Tangent, that's the word. Why can't I say it right now? Tangential? No, that isn't how you pronounce it. Pronounce. Why can't I say it?
Tangential.
Tangential. I think it's the troll. I was struggling with the troll. All right. Anyway, I may have even been using it wrong. I don't know. My brain just like totally gave out on me there. Okay. So it's like emails, right? And you know what's crazy that I don't get? All these emails were like happening inside Gmail. Like all the emails that have been coming out as proof of stuff. Hey, Kristen, is like Gmail. So like, why couldn't Google have just handed this stuff over? Like, I don't know. This is what I don't get. And like, doesn't Google have like a checker? Like, hey, if people are talking about CSAM, maybe we should report it to the police. You know, like you would think. But I guess all the rich people are in all these Epstein files. So I guess there's that. I don't know. I guess like who do you know? How do you trust any billionaire right now? Like honest to God, you know what I mean? All right. Anyway, so they say it's a huge group think festival. It's closer to Tea Party movement than an intellectual movement. The TAM is in July. Funny, I'm realizing the most reliable source to find information about these skeptic groups is Wikipedia, since they write all their own articles. Yeah, skeptics can still be skeptical and still like fact check our own work. Like skeptics are open to hearing other sides and like fact checking. You know what I mean? Like here are this year's presenters. Here you see Sharon Hill presenting, as previously mentioned, as well as Susan Gerbic will be giving a talk on the Wikipedia issue from their perspective. And so it's got Susan's name in it, right? And this is what's crazy is like everybody is in the Epstein files because they this is like covering just random talk back and forth. This has nothing to do with CSAM, by the way. This is just them like talking about this thing. Oh, and by the way, it's Deepak Chopra who's complaining about this. It's Ally Disgusting. I'm not sure if they make money as much as they make image. They're really not doing it for any reason other than the love of the game. Like, honestly. The people that do this Wikipedia stuff, you don't get paid. It's all volunteer. You don't get recognition. Like, they're just doing it because they want somewhere on the internet that they can like be like, yes, this information is correct, you know? All right. There's plenty of ambition for recognition inside of the movement, and with blogs and online media, there are many new channels that form, even with the cute girl hosts. That's weird. You, of course, can find her very well-written Wikipedia page here, and that's Sharon Hill. Is Sharon Hill a friend of hers? I don't know. I feel like that. It sounds familiar. I think it is a friend of hers. They become speakers in conferences. It's funny because most of the skeptic influencers are not real scientists, yet they want the prestige that comes with fighting for science. So I see the motivation being primarily attention and celebrity. Tim Farley, for example, received a research fellowship from JREF, but claims money never changed hands. So first of all, yes, a lot of them are not scientists, but they have scientists on panels, right? They bring them in to talk. A lot of scientists are too busy to be attending these type of conferences. Scientists care about like recognition for their work. That what we're doing here and what these skeptic conferences are and things like that is about like, hey, let's talk about the fact that critical thinking is dead and how do we fix that in the world? Like these conferences concentrate more about like, hey, like the world is struggling. What can we do to try to fight back misinformation, to try to like, you know, whatever. And scientists are past that point. Like that was year one of their university. You know, scientists are out doing science. And the few scientists influencers that are out there, they have had them speak at these conferences. So like, it's not that scientists have their own conferences and it's to do with their research papers and stuff, right? All right, then. So these guys are not purist ideologies. They make money from all this. That should be exposed. No, they don't. They really don't make money off this stuff. Hello, Gino. Nice to meet you. That would be helpful. I've noticed that Dawkins' name is on a few initiatives. I knew there was some kind of funding since Dawkins' nonprofit is behind a derogatory app website too. This is them like, this is billionaires trying to figure out how do we ruin people that are out there in the world fact-checking everything we're putting out there. Like how these are billionaires trying to figure out how to ruin critical thinking and how to make sure that fake news and everything else, and I hate using that term fake news because that's a Trump thing, like incorrect information, like they're trying to make sure that people don't think for themselves. Like they're trying to make sure that we don't question things because they're trying to destroy the organizations that are trying to encourage people to start thinking for themselves again. There's also the Billionaire Club founded by Brockman, the prominent agent and supporter of Dawkins and other militant atheists. Gino can fill you in. Yeah, and then they hate them too because the majority of them are atheists. And this is Deepak Chopra, like taking part in these conversations. Deepak Chopra is like a creep, by the way. Like, I'm not surprised that he's in the Epstein files. He is a creep. Like, yeah. Okay, then this person is writing the official statement that these orthodoxy zealots are all volunteers who just happen to congregate in the same cyberspaces and oppose the same people at the same time. Unofficially, there are a number of them that are highly suspected of being associated with skeptical blogs. This is not why you... Susan writes for the Skeptical Inquirer. This is not a secret. Like, what... what are they trying to say here? Blogs, journals, or personalities, and are using this conflict to attract readers. The New Republic is a good example of this. They literally write for the Skeptical Inquirer. When you write for the Skeptical Inquirer, you don't get paid for that. Like, this is insanity, what they're talking about here. He's been a creep for a long time. Yeah. He's one of those guru guys. Yeah, no, he's a creep. Finally, I have heard from a number of sources that there's been a connection between those targeted by these zealots and pharmaceutical companies. Aren't there pharmaceutical company CEOs and billionaires in the Epstein files? I'm pretty sure there are. But no, the only like connection would be to fact check an article. The fact that actually Susan is short on people that she needs people that are chemistry and biology trained, like, went to school for that, because they don't have enough people to fact check all the chemistry and biology articles. So, like, then this makes no sense. They're just making crap up. So here's the thing, though. This alien not organization, but these alien people now are going to take this and they're going to run with this and come at Susan, right? It's not enough to make any sort of statement, and I'm looking into it further. You're not very good at looking into it. So they all write for different, like, not all of them, but like Susan, for instance, writes for the Skeptical Inquirer. You suspect it. All you had to do was Google her name. Like, but I've spoken to an investigative reporter who reported finding patterns connecting to the drug companies to specific zealot editors. And yeah, then release the article. We're not evil. These billionaires are evil. These billionaires are in the Epstein files, colluding on how to make sure that the public stays stupid. And a bunch of the people talking here, at least like, Deepak Chopra, are sex deviants and creeps. So, like, why is this reporter scared to release an article when you have billionaires in here talking? Like, billionaires will protect this reporter. I just think that's all BS. No, I think it's all BS. She's been reluctant to share her sources, as this is apparently a story she's been working on for a long time, but I'm still at it. Yeah, release the article then, lady. And this was in 2014, by the way. There's been no article. Yeah. Who are the ones financing zealots in Wikipedia? And then she underlined who indeed. Like, well, the most is that she asks for donations and Wikipedia asks for donations to stay up, but like nobody's like, this is insanity. I just think that this is insane. So I just kind of want to talk about this too, because like, what's a good example here? Let's bring this up. Hold on. They're most active on Twitter, the alien people. So hold on, let's see. Okay, so this is Susan, by the way. If you, let's see, are there any alien people chatting about her right now because of this? Hold on, this is gonna show me the recent stuff. Let me, I see the threads pop by every once in a while. She shares them. She retweets them. She thinks it's funny, you know? Yeah, here's one, right? Okay, so here's a whole thread. All right. They're talking about hitting Trump. Okay, they're talking about the tariff stuff. And then somehow he got onto Susan. Okay, now he talks about UFO researchers. Okay. Antarctica. Oh, that's a whole conspiracy theory stupidity. You can blame the History Channel for the dumb minds of today, I swear to God. Oh, you've opened a can of worms. Good can of worms. Da 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 da. You mentioned the scientists, and that is some crazy shit right there. Glock. Oh, and don't trust Wikipedia on anything regarding weird stuff. It's been taken over by a feral skeptic group and her cronies, Susan Gerbic. And that's, well, you wouldn't believe it. Jesus. I looked that up too. I assume a lot of the scientists were part of Operation Paperclip, but some of the scientists from Europe, Germany, like they're all in like this echo chamber on Twitter, and it's insane seeing the stuff that they're saying. Yeah. So here we go. The stupid bitch, which she was an influencer. These are the people, by the way, and could touch and do the science that this person's been doing. I don't know who the heck this is. This bitch is the Susan Gerbic of archaeology. Okay. I don't think that has anything to do with the original post of that guy, though. Oh, Grok said something about her. Witness testimonies from nuclear site personnel. Many advocate. I think this is about UFOs. Susan Gerbic, as a skeptic, focuses on evidence verification, often critiquing claims without direct dismissal. Diverse views exist. Proponents cite declassified documents, while skeptics seek empirical proof. What specific testimony stands out to you? Yeah, this is about UFOs. All right. He's also called Susan Gerbic a disinformation agent. Can't trust anyone with the initials SG. Wait, who is called that? Hold on. Paranormally Talk. I think that this is the guy. There's one guy with a podcast that goes after Susan the most. Paranormal talk show host, right, who recently testified to Congress about UFOs, emphatically says, I'm on the Pentagon's payroll and that I work directly with and for the DoD public affairs officer, Susan Go, to cover up space aliens. That's inaccurate. And then it's like, he's also called Susan Gerbic a disinformation agent. Susan's a real person, though. Is this the guy? There's one guy, though, that keeps coming at her. I don't know if this is the guy. This might be the guy. It looks like he's talking about a bunch of UFO crap. There's one guy with a podcast that is just like obsessed with Susan. Oh my God. Matt seems to have taken legal advice from the Appalachian attorney who thought he could file a RICO lawsuit against Susan or whatever, and now believes that as long as he says, in my opinion, before whatever lunacy strides across his tongue, he's covered. Yeah. So yeah, like there's crazy lawyers out there who like, yeah, they try. Yeah, this is the guy. I think this is the podcaster that does not shut up about Susan. So does he work for the? He works for the New York Post. That's sad. These people truly believe like that aliens are everywhere. Like they believe in lizard people and stuff. Like it's insane. This is so dumb. These people are insane. Yeah. Yeah, she's reluctant to share her sources. Her source, while the guy I buy weed from told me that he knows the guy. Yeah, pretty much. I'm sure Susan's project is not the only network of fact checkers keeping Wikipedia trustworthy and accurate. Wikipedia, no, she is like the only network on for Wikipedia, but there's other ones out there that are trying to do other websites too. Like the Internet Archive is an organization. They're trying to back up the internet because if we lose stuff, then we become dumber, and then there's no like past articles to explain how stupid we are, that we're believing in dumb shit. There's like other organizations and other websites too, so. The people that go after fact checkers the hardest are usually those who have the most to lose if their claims are overlooked with critical thinking and skepticism. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. New York Post is about on level with the National Enquirer. Yeah, you know what's crazy too is I'm pretty sure that they actually did an article on Susan a while back when she was like this is a while back when she was doing her sting operations on like Matt Frazier and a bunch of other psychics, and now they've resorted to this. Now they're just this like UFO guys. All right. The known publicized cases, like what is this? These people are insane. I've seen some evidence of coordinated editing on Wikipedia for ideological purposes. If you have direct knowledge of this or even involved, literally Google. Like they don't hide in the shadows. Okay, so reporting by Ashley on the Gang of 40, Susan Gerbic, Guerrilla Skeptics, Wikipedia's own self-disclosure of Wikipedia PR editing scandal. This is all insanity. Look up groups that are recipients of WMF Wiki grants. Look into an edit-a-thons overlapping the latter. Yeah, Committee for Accuracy in the Middle East Reporting America. Okay, well, yeah, there are other organizations, I guess, from other countries. That would make sense. But, like, what's wrong with this? You know what I mean? Oh, my God, ChatGPT unearthed a bunch. Okay, so you're... like, it's so ridiculous that these people are using, like, AI and complaining that Wikipedia is too accurate. But AI told me. It is absolutely ridiculous. So this crap has been going on with her for a while now. Like they've been coming at her a lot, right? And And yeah, it's pretty crazy. Yeah. So I've been like saying to her, like, we should do a video and feature this story about what's happening to you because it's insane. It really is. Let's see. What the heck is this? This is aliens, isn't it? Balloons and birds. Yeah, I don't even, I just need to see like birds, conspiracy theories. Yeah, alien thing right there. I'm sure. Yeah. It's so easy to spot these people. That's why Susan Gerbic follows me, bro. I'm pretty informed about this topic and approaching it from a very elevated state. I don't want to argue. Maybe you're right, man. Maybe it's all fake. Maybe professional debunkers this and fraud that. Being nice is more important. I hope you have a nice one. Yeah, and I mean, the thing is, Susan will actually follow a lot of the people too that are talking crap about her because she thinks it's funny. Like she trolls people back. Yeah. Um, she's like even offered like they've been editing these clips of her and things to make it sound like she's saying stuff she's not saying, and then she's like reaches out to them, she like tweets, she's like, well, why don't you just ask me to come on your show for an interview? I'll just come on the show for an interview. Like it's she just like hits them back. So it's pretty crazy. Yeah, fuck the gorilla skeptics and Susan. That is not freedom of speech, nor is it American. You can have freedom of speech, but Wikipedia is supposed to be a place where you're providing information about like facts. Like Wikipedia is not a opinion piece website. Wikipedia is based on encyclopedias. I think people forget that encyclopedias were a thing at one point, right? That's the idea of it. It's supposed to be correct, factual information. It's not about opinions. If you want to do an opinion piece, write an article on Twitter, you know. All right, because they're all like convinced that Susan and the grill skeptics of Wikipedia, they are all convinced that they are hiding UFO related content. Yeah, here is UFO related content. They all think that they're hiding these UFO documents that prove that UFOs exist. They honestly think this. And it's like, that's no, you're like, you think that people are more powerful than they are. Like you need to all you guys need to go out and touch some grass. These conspiracy theory people are insane. Like I used to enjoy conspiracy theories here and there as just like a fun little activity, but these people are like so in it, like they're insane. These people are crazy. Like I cannot deal with these people, you know? Last thing they want is her with a microphone live where they cannot tailor it to suit their narrative. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she would destroy these morons. She would. Yeah, yeah. You can say whatever you want. Doesn't mean others have to listen. Yeah, like I was saying, social media is literally a place to give your opinion. You have an opinion about something, you can throw it up there. If you have a fact, and opinions are free speech, right? That's free speech. But if you have a fact, you put it up on Wikipedia. The idea of Wikipedia is if it belonged in an encyclopedia, then you can make a Wikipedia page for it, you know? But these UFO documents that they keep they keep doing these articles and trying to publish stuff that says a UFO document exists, but like they have no proof towards it. So then that edit gets removed. And then these people then have decided now that Susan is a CIA agent that's messing with Wikipedia, I guess, or whatever. It's so stupid, you know? Grass is an alien plot. Yeah, yeah. Wikipedia never gets a penny from me. It's an arm of the national security state. Yeah, people are so stupid. So dumb. They all think that Wikipedia is being controlled by the deep state or something. And it's just like, and the thing is that's crazy to me is all you guys were talking like this before Trump was elected. Like every time that there's liberals in office or whatever Americans call it, Democrats, that these conspiracy theory guys go crazy. And then as soon as like right now you guys have a stacked deck, you have a stacked government in America. And it's the right wingers that you like. It's the Republicans that you wanted in power. And yet you're still saying that the government is doing these things. But it's like, okay, well, you said before the government was doing it because the Democrats are bad. But now you're saying the government's still doing it, even though it's a totally different government. So, like, what do you say now, you know? And now I've noticed a bunch of them are turning to this whole sort of anarchist view where all government is bad now. Now, suddenly, because they have a whole stacked deck, like, there's no Democrat that they can blame on anything because there's no Democrat that can fight back. They don't have the votes to fight back. Like, right now, this is unprecedented. So, now that they don't have a Democrat to blame, I've noticed they're doing this thing where now they hate all government, and the Epstein files is a good like way for them to get out of it because they're like, oh, Trump is in there. Oh, well, no, we don't like child predators. Not all of them are doing this, though. There is a group of right wingers that are obviously hopping on this weird bandwagon. But I've noticed that they're moving into this, and they're doing this sort of like anarchist view that like the government or the world should be in an anarchy, like kind of setting, I guess, and that there just shouldn't be any government. But I don't think people understand that government like helps people. Like if we didn't have government, we would be totally screwed. Hey, Dust. Honestly, as an American, I think both are just junk at this point. Yeah, like that's thing. There's no good politician. You're just trying to pick the ones that will at the very least, keep the status quo, but hopefully make things better. But these ones that promise to do huge swings, you don't wanna vote for those ones. I've worked in politics for like 20 years, and I'm telling you, you don't want to do these ones that promise these crazy things that just are impossible to do because they tend to break everything. Case in point, what's happening right now. So, you know, yeah. Right now, what's going on with the government, this is like, I mean, we haven't seen something like this since the 1930s, right? So, yeah, still feeling like crap. Yeah, you have that cold. That's the thing. I got like that flu thing, but it went away pretty quick, but I never got the head cold. Everyone is saying that they had like a head cold thing with it. Um, so I don't know if I caught the flu that everyone has caught or if it was something else. I mean, it's possible that it was just like um what's it called? Food poisoning? Like, it's possible, I guess. It felt like the flu though, but it just happened so quickly. So it was horrible. It was like I was on death's door, but it was gone after like 3 or 4 days. But and then I was just like extremely tired though for like another like 2 or 3 days. So but I luckily, knock on wood, didn't get the head cold thing because that stuff tends to stick around forever with me. But like usually stomach stuff will pass faster. So, yeah, Susan Gerbic, most of her frequent skeptic tour de force, propaganda junkies. Propaganda junkies, you were propaganda junkies. This was like the cognitive dissonance is so deep with these people. Like, I have an immune system disorder, so I get sick easy. Yeah, same. I mean, that's saying fibro is an autoimmune disorder. So I try to stay away from too much people or too many places where I could possibly get sick because also I don't want to bring it home to my mom or anything too, right? But I like ordered takeout and then I definitely caught the flu. It felt like the flu. That's why I'm like, it could be food poisoning, but I don't think it was because like I wasn't as vomity. Sorry, not to be specific, as food poisoning. Normally, food poisoning you get like extreme, like uncontrollable, like vomiting, and like I wasn't as bad with the vomiting. So I'm like, I think it was the flu. So hey, sweet goth, yeah, I'm looking at my friend Susan Gerbic. Showed up in the Epstein file. So stupid. I'm not laughing about the Epstein files. I'm laughing about the fact that she's in them. She showed up in the Epstein files, and it's the billionaires and Deepak Chopra, that weirdo, them talking about pretty much how do we stop skeptics? How do we stop free thinkers? And then they talk about Susan and Wikipedia and stuff in it. So, like, it's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, my RA meds are immune suppressants. Yeah, RA is like, that one's rough. You can get super sick off that. Like, yeah, I am glad I don't have that, to be honest. Because they always like think that I might, and then they do testing and they're like, no, you're good. Like, I don't think I do because I don't know. I guess I do get I do get pretty bedridden and sick a lot. But then when I bounce back, I just suddenly have like a ton of energy and then I'm back in the bed again. which is like pretty indicative of fibromyalgia, to be honest. Yeah. I loved your debunking of psychics last year. Those are some of the most awesome YouTube videos of any creator I've seen. Yeah, I have more. I have more on the list that I need to do. There's a lot of stuff I want to do, and that's like we spent like the last month dealing with this paranormal parasite. Like I need a break. We need a break. This is why this is the palette cleanser. We need a break. I need to do other content. I need a break from all this shit. But we're going to keep everyone updated as things come in because one, it keeps it eyes on it, but two, also we're trying to get some big content creators interested to cover it. And there is one that was informed about what's going on and they seem kind of interested, but like usually they don't cover it until like it gets really like absolutely stupid, which it has, but like it hasn't hit the like just wait, it's almost there, right? So that's why I'm like, I'm still going to do posts about it. I encourage everyone to keep talking about it because right now at this point, we're trying to get public pressure for YouTube to listen. So, anyway, I do want to break from it all. So I'm like, so I do have a psychic that I need to cover. And like, I've been talking to her family and stuff. She's a piece of work. I really wanted to talk to a psychologist. I wanted to interview a psychologist for this video I'm going to do on her because I'm not going to do this video as much of a hit piece as more I want to talk about like the dark side of this stuff and how it affects people and their families and things like that. So that's what I'm hoping to do with this next piece. So anyway, but yeah, we're taking a look at Susan just because I thought it was crazy. I'm like, I can't believe that she's in the Epstein files. See, she's in the Epstein files. And Deepak Chopra is talking about her. Yeah. Oh yeah. What's the other person? Sharon A. Hill. I'm pretty sure that's a friend of hers. Sharon A. Hill. American science writer. Yeah, I think she's done some Skeptical Inquirer stuff too. So she's a scientist. And in the emails, they were like, oh, no scientists actually attend these things, but she's a scientist. So, okay. Yeah. Okay, it looks like she's a historian, but she writes about science as well. So she researches science. That's actually kind of interesting. Science writer and speaker known for her research into the interaction between science and the public, focusing on education and media topics. It's actually really, that's a good thing, actually. That's very fascinating. She deals with paranormal, pseudoscience, strange natural phenomena. Began at the University of Buffalo, where she performed her graduate work in that area. Bachelor of Science. No, she has a science degree. So it's a scientist. And in the emails, they were complaining about her and then saying that scientists don't attend these conferences when she's a scientist that attends these conferences. Even like these stupid billionaires in the Epstein files are dumb as fucking rocks. I swear to God. They're so stupid. All right, sorry. I'm looking at, especially absolutely love your debunking of phony. I love your debunking of phony baloney, wannabe psychics that are pyramid schemers and charge crazy amounts. Yeah, I do want to actually explore that a little bit more because I want to get into like the wellness industry and there's like a huge crossover with that. So I do want to explore that a little bit more. Yeah. So yeah, this lady sounds pretty interesting, to be honest. I like the topic. That'd be something I would definitely consume as content. And see on Wikipedia, there's references. You can take a look at the bibliography at the bottom and you can double check all of these, and then even here it says here site journal requires journal equals, so like they're saying even that they need a site there. There's the journal. Yeah, like even they'll even make notes in here too saying that this is like if something has been said by a lot of people but there's no proof of backing it, they'll even sometimes put a note in there and be like needs sources, right? And then oftentimes if it's crazy and it kind of like loses the plot, then that's when, like, for instance, Susan's team will come in and be like, okay, they will mark it and they'll say to the person who added it, you have 30 or 90 days to provide sources or we're going to remove it from this article. That's sort of like the process. They give them lots of time, by the way, to provide sources. They don't just remove it immediately. Okay. They mark it, they highlight it, it sends a note to the person that added it and says, hey, you have 30 days to provide your source. Otherwise, we're removing this from this article. Like, it's a very fair system. Yeah. They can type but not think. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All the lovely footnotes. Yeah, like these are all this. So I'm like, when I have sometimes these weird teachers, and I'm like, I don't think that you teach at university level. I'm sorry, but I really don't think that they do. And then they leave comments and they're like, Wikipedia is not a good place to cite for your sources. I'm like, it's actually a great place because it has a collection of sources that you can then go read and cite. So it's crazy. I'm weird. I love research. Yeah, I like that's the thing. Like me and Stevie, that's what mainly we do. We do like a lot of debunking and stuff through research. So yeah. Kenny Biddle, middle of the screen there. Oh, was Kenny here? In here? I didn't even see it. He's probably in there somewhere. I definitely shared the things you shared debunking psychics. People are so into them. Yeah, people really like this thing. My psychic videos do really well. And I could just do psychic stuff and grow my channel really fast. But then, like, I don't like being pigeonholed into one topic because I get bored easily. I think that's ADHD. I get bored easily. So if I just have one topic, then I'm gonna end up like not sticking with the channel. And I just want to like mix up the topics. I want to be able to mix up the topics without losing my whole audience. So I kind of want to build an audience of like a mix of people. So, all right, I'm going to go switch out my drink here really quick. I'll be right back and then we'll figure out the next topic to look at just for funsies. All right. Okay. All right. Stevie's one hell of an investigative reporter. Yeah, Stevie's great. Yeah. Yeah, like we both have our own like ways that we research stuff. Um, but this thing, it's fun. Like if me and her are working on something together, like we find a lot of crap. So like there's some people and things that we've investigated that we didn't make a video on. It was more investigating them because of a situation and stuff. But it's like there's been times where like for a few hours we're talking back and forth about all this stuff that we're finding on somebody. But I think that's like also the ADHD powers activate sometimes. And you get into like a hyper focus. All right. How are y'all doing? I'm just tired, but I got my edibles. I'm like, my doctor's appointment's tomorrow. I get my pain shots. All my meds get refilled. do a bit of grocery, a bit of running around. I really don't want to do laundry right now. I do need to do laundry. I don't know. Um, I'm not sure. So, people ask me what's going on about the war and send them to Stevie's podcast, finds articles. Yeah, Stevie's really good at like finding articles in the old newspapers. I think she pays for a subscription to that like newspapers.com thing, which I think like it's worth it for her. And there's a few places that I've thought about doing a subscription to. I think it's the New York Times, because there's often I'm doing research and it links to a New York Times article, and usually the New York Times is reputable. I don't know anymore nowadays, to be honest, but it's older articles anyway. So I'm like, okay, it was reputable back then. Yeah, Milo, I know, I gotta watch this one. Yeah, I love Milo. He's great. He's great. Who's the other lady? Hold on, wait, maybe I should, hold on. Let me find the name of the other lady I'm watching. I'm not sure what all I have in my watch history, so I don't want to, I don't want to show it all to you guys. Oh yeah, no, it's like, it's not bad. There's stuff I'm doing for an investigation into a certain somebody I'll know, and I don't want them to see what I've been watching. Okay, it's History with Kaylee.
Centrum.
Oh my God, please no ads. Go away, go away, go away. Okay, this one, History with Kaylee. She's good. I like her. She talks about a lot of stuff I find really interesting. And actually, well, the last live stream that we did where we were hanging out, we talked about, I always forget the name of that freaking pharaoh. Hold on. I just watched this from her, so hold on. I just watched this and I was like, oh, well, that's really interesting, because I always thought that these things were fact, but it turns out that it's not been proven. So I'm like, okay. So like, that makes sense. Yeah. Akhenaten, that pharaoh, and Queen Nefertiti, and that's the one who changed everyone to monotheistic religion and caused that big uproar and destroyed Egypt for like, it took apparently multiple generations to recover from the damage he did. And if that doesn't remind you of what's happening right now, oh my God. Like, if you think about it, right? This happened in like the 1930s, and it took multiple generations for us to recover from it, but multiple generations to the point that they've all like forgotten about the history, or, well, I mean, I have a theory. Yeah, this is the father of King Tut, the father and mother of King Tut, actually. Well, not necessarily mother. There's question on that. Her video is really fascinating. I mean, we could watch it if you guys want. Like, some of you guys said that you wanted to do history for a stream.
My name.
Her video is really good. Like, we could watch it if you guys want to watch it. Yeah, he moved the capital of the city of Egypt and everything too. It's very fascinating. And I thought that I thought that actually he protected his father's body, but it looks like there's signs that he didn't. Like, they believe that Nefertiti is buried behind him because of some imaging and stuff. But the Egypt government doesn't want anyone touching this tomb anymore because people have like ruined the King Tut tomb, and it's the most intact tomb that they have. So they haven't let any more excavation happen in the tomb. It's very interesting. I mean, we could watch this if you guys want to watch it, because there's stuff she talks about. I mean, how old was this? I was 4 months ago. She talks about stuff that like, I was like, oh, like I didn't realize that, or I didn't know that. And then she talks about Queen Nefertiti and stuff too after. I thought that she was the mother of King Tut, but apparently not. Apparently he's like, what's the word? He's like got genetics or something that match closer to, because Akhenaten had another wife that wasn't like the official queen wife, so probably like a lower class. So that is where King Tut's like genetics match towards. But then they were saying that King Tut had like a lot of like genetic defects that would have been sign of inbreeding, right? So then I wonder, like, was it inbreeding with him, or I don't know. It's very fascinating anyway. And oh, and speaking of Milo, this is why I got on her too. Milo often will have her on shows as well, bring her in for like a whatever Q&A thing because she has like specializations. So yeah. Um, just sub to Kaylee. Yeah, she's good. I like her. Yeah. It can get muddled due to the extreme inbreeding, and that's there was extreme inbreeding, and actually she talks about some things. I've honestly followed ancient Egypt for a long time, like my whole life since I was very young. I've loved ancient Egypt, but she's talked about some things that I'm like, I did not know this. So I have been finding her Egypt stuff very fascinating. So it's not cousins; they would actually marry like brother and sister. So like if there wasn't an appropriate wife that wasn't at the right standing, because in Egypt, Pharaoh was God on earth. And so then the queen had to be God on earth too, right? So if there wasn't someone with an appropriate standing to marry, then they would marry their brother or sister or whatever. They would, like, siblings would get married because they are considered gods, right? And if there wasn't an appropriate level of god, or demigod or whatever bloodline for them to marry into. And that's why all the pharaohs and stuff were like so genetically deformed, because they were marrying like brother and sister like crazy. It's just crazy to me. Yeah, because it's like they considered themselves gods, so they had to marry the right people. And she talks about another pharaoh queen or whatever that then was looking for either her or her daughter or something needed to marry, but there wasn't anyone appropriate. So they reached out to this like neighboring kingdom that they were also warring with, but you know, so it was like a political move. But she asked if his son would marry her or her daughter. I can't remember which one. This queen is very interesting. She actually talks about her in another video. Actually, I was fascinated with that one. That was a good video too. So we could look at that as well. My turn to get up with kiddos and send them off to school in the morning. Yeah, no worries. I do like tiny venues, larger ones, overs feel horror. Do you guys want to watch this, or is this something that doesn't interest you? I mean, it's up to you guys. Because I know I like history and I make history videos. They don't do as well on my channel whenever I make a history video. So there's a portion of you I think that like it, and then there's a portion of you I think that aren't into it. So we can watch this if you guys are interested. Yeah, you want to watch it? Okay. Oh, actually, too. I'm going to turn down my light a little bit because it's like bright and kind of annoying me. And if I'm smaller, then it's not as noticeable, I think. All right. Let me just turn it down. Make it dark. It should be cool. Sorry, a side conversation. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I mean, you guys definitely talk and chat amongst each other too, because you know me. I will get distracted. I miss things. I miss a lot of things. I'm like, I've given up trying to keep track of chat. I'm just not good at it. I'm not as good at it. Some people are good at it. So, all right, let me know how the sound is on this.
My name is Kaylee, and if I ask you to think of the most famous couple from ancient Egypt, chances are high you're thinking of Akhenaten and Nefertiti. They were the most controversial couple ruling over Egypt, and Nefertiti is one of the most famous royal women from ancient Egypt. She's nearly as famous as Cleopatra, and that's mainly because of the beautiful bust of Nefertiti that was found in 1912 in the city of Amarna.
Yeah, Nefertiti was like my favorite one. When I was younger, we had to do like book reports and stuff on different like history things, and I often did like Egypt because I love Egypt. But Nefertiti was like one, and I used to draw her all the time too. Like I loved Nefertiti. I thought that she was really, really pretty and really cool. So yeah.
Tutankhamun's mother. So for a long time it was thought that Nefertiti would have been Tutankhamun's mother. But a genetic study has shown another female to be the mother of Tutankhamun, and I will explain that later in this video. So I'm going to quickly explain the controversy surrounding this ancient couple, and I will take you on the hunt for their lost tombs, as both of their mummies and their tombs have never been found. At least nothing that has been confirmed at this point in time. So this begs the question, did their tombs and bodies get lost over time?
Sweet Goth, yeah, fascination with Anubis 1 point. Yeah, I mean, if we're going to talk about gods, right? If we would talk about gods, then I'm going to say like, oh yeah, there's a few that I really liked, but I actually really liked, shoot. Oh, hold on. What is it? Oh my God, I'm just having a brain fart. Isis. Which, and yeah, Isis, I used to really love her because I love the story of Osiris and Isis. And then it's like bad because now, like, you know, that group took that name and then it just ruined the goddess. And I'm just like, man. And that's why I don't use pantheons when I practice my like pagan religions. I don't use pantheons because these names, we don't know what horrible things some of these names were attached to, you know? They didn't name themselves after her, just the acronym happened to be that. But yeah, she was my favorite goddess. And then I really like, is it Hathor is the one that's part? No, I think Hathor is the bird. Which is the one that's part cat? Egypt, goddess, cat, blood. Bastet? No. I did like Bastet a lot because I like cats though. But the one that did the blood drinking, was that Bastet? No, I don't think it was it? What the fuck was it? I think it was Sekhmet. I think. Oh, yeah, no, it was... Yeah, it was Hathor. No, okay. So when Hathor was angry, she would take the form of the lion-headed goddess Sekhmet, who was a bloodthirsty, frightening deity who then fed on the blood of and fear of her enemies. And she was sent down to punish them one time, and she like got stuck in the bloodlust, and they had to get her drunk with beer to get her to stop killing the people. But her whole, if you look at in the god like the story of her, she has different like daughters or sisters or sons or whatever. She has like a little family unit, and that includes Bastet as well. It's a bunch of cat gods and goddesses, and I actually like all of them. I find them all very fascinating. I like their little story in their little group, and then otherwise I really like Osiris, but I've always been into like darker stuff even when I was a kid, so I really like the story of the underworld and everything. And that's why else too I really like when I was looking at Greece and Rome, like I liked a lot of the underworld stuff. I was fascinated by that for sure. Yeah, I would love to go to Egypt. Your roommate went to Egypt. I would love to go there, but it's just so dangerous. It's like so dangerous, man. For a woman, especially. If Joan was here, I'd be like, a woman? Okay, we have like an inside joke about that. The Mummy movies introduced a lot of us to Egyptian gods and such, I think. Well, see, like for me, it was Indiana Jones. I loved it. Well, no, it wasn't even a movie. What the hell was it? No, I think it was the Rosicrucian. Because Rosicrucian has an Egypt aspect to it. It's like got a lot of ancient Egyptian stuff in it. So I think it was the Rosicrucian stuff. And I just really liked the symbols and the symbolism and the art. And that's what got me into it as a kid. And then I started actually exploring it more and just really obsessed with Egypt. And then then I saw Indiana Jones as a kid. I loved Indiana Jones. I'm like, that is so cool. Like Milo is sort of like, a lot of people call him the modern Indiana Jones, but he fights misinformation online. It's so funny. Cyrus is tricky to find unless you know where it is. Oh, you're talking about a location, right? I was obsessed with the 12 Olympian gods. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, Egypt has like a million gods. No, I've always been obsessed with Egypt more than Rome and Greece. Well, I like Greece better. because Rome was very bloodthirsty and they really did not like critical thinking. They really destroyed a lot of we were making a lot of strides back then, between ancient Egypt. Ancient Egypt was like a whole civilization of like nerds essentially. Like to be honest, they're like Vulcans. I often like describe them to Vulcans because when you research them, you realize like there was a lot of like ignoring your feelings or at least like not showing them outside too much, and there's a lot of order, very very orderly civilization, right? So I ascribe them to kind of like Vulcans, and they were like the human Vulcans, right? And then Greece, they were the thinkers and they were like the imaginers and they were the philosophers and stuff. So when they started allowing philosophers into into the uh, schools in Egypt, because Egypt taught the sciences, they were like on it. They knew science like crazy. That's why people like aliens built the pyramids. I'm like, no, this was a whole society. This was a whole civilization of like math geeks. Like they were all incredibly smart in the sciences, but incredibly low intelligence for like emotional intelligence, if you want to say. Not saying they're low intelligence, but like they push back their emotions. They're very much about like order, did not like chaos, did not like free thinking, did not like the easygoing, like, they're like, no, 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 everything needs to be in order, right? Kind of like the OCD, OCD math geeks. So, yeah, so like Egypt was very much about the sciences, and Greece was about like the thinkers, the imaginers, right? And then when they combined, it created these amazing people that brought us these things. Like I know that some of them are a little bit wacky, but we have like Pythagoras and things, and the different philosophers that came out of it. A lot of them went to Egypt to train on the sciences, and that's why they knew math, and that's why they knew a bunch of the stuff that actually came from Egypt. Egypt didn't allow people in to train, but there was strides being made, and so if you were like higher nobility, they had contacts in Egypt in the preschools, which I do go into explanation of the schools, and even learning about how they did schooling and stuff in Egypt is very fascinating too, and healthcare too. They were very modern, honestly, for the times and such. It's very interesting to think of it though. Like they were actually very modern. Like if you want to even say like they were almost like steampunk, if you imagine it. Like they didn't have the technology we had, but they had technology. They had modern medicine. It's just like a different look than what we see, right? But they had it all too. And then just that's why I love this time. Ancient Egypt and Greece, I find it very fascinating. And Egypt was around for like 5,000, 10,000 years. Crazy advanced civilization. And it destroyed all this? All this, like, work that was being done. Also, stuff was being discovered and everything in China. Like, there was huge strides being made, and humans were getting so smart. We were doing so well. And then the Bible came into play, and that was it. That set us back like 10,000 years. That set us back to the beginning again. The Bible ruined us, and we've just now been getting back up to where we were. you know, like it's crazy. The Bible screwed us for thousands of years. This religion, all these religious wars and stupid crap, all this stupid like people taking the Bible literally and controlling how much people can think, and how, critical thinking. And now we're heading back to the dark ages again. I swear it's happening again. Like there's so many stupid people out there right now, and they're not stupid. Like they all have intelligence, but they're like choosing not to use critical thinking skills. And now I find like it's not the Bible. It's like this weird online, like it started online, the QAnon, and if you guys have paid attention at all to it, like it's exploded now. Like it's like this weird red pill QAnon right wing conspiracy theory whatever thinking. it's so much, yeah, it's so much, like you said, Queen of Karma, it's so much pseudoscience and conspiracies. It's now become like a religion to these people. Like it's become a huge belief structure, and they get mad when you try to like fact check them. Which conspiracy theories and stuff and pseudoscience, you can fact check it, but they like refuse to, and they've brought so many people into the fold, and I feel like COVID set us back, honestly. Oh, you know what I heard the other day? Side tangent. I know I've had this pause on a side tangent for a while. Okay. So I heard that apparently people that are into horror and like extreme sports and like whatever, like extreme things, they fared better during COVID, and a lot of them actually thrived, especially people that are into horror, dark stuff, paranormal stuff, like whatever. We all thrived really well during COVID, but then the people that like can't handle horror, can't handle like violence or whatever, like they're the ones who actually had the breakdown. They're the ones who are, this is what we're stuck with. They created this weird, like crazy off the wall. They went nuts, right? They can't handle it. And we, us that are into the dark and creepy, we did really well during the COVID time. So I'm like, yeah, I can see that. So they're saying that they believe that people that are into horror and things like that would be able to we can handle stress a little bit better of like bad shit happening around us. I guess we like compartmentalize. I think that we do compartmentalize, and we try to reason and stuff too. So anyways, I found that fascinating. Yeah. All right, let's watch some more of this, because yeah, I know. I know we barely watched any of this. Okay.
Or were their mummies hidden or discarded on purpose? And were their tombs either destroyed or repurposed for other burials? To try and answer these questions, we need to take a deep dive into the lives of Akhenaten and Nefertiti to understand who they were, how their decisions affected others, and why their bodies may have possibly been hidden or destroyed on purpose. So first, let's take a quick look into why Akhenaten was such a controversial pharaoh, as this might hold a clue as to why his tomb and body have never been found. Akhenaten was born as Amenhotep IV, and he was the second son of Pharaoh Amenhotep III and his great royal wife Queen T. Akhenaten was not born as the crown prince, as his older brother Thutmose was actually the heir of Amenhotep III. Unfortunately, his brother Thutmose died during his father's reign, which led to Akhenaten becoming next in line for the throne. There are actually quite some people who consider Thutmose's death as a butterfly effect, as the controversy surrounding his younger brother Akhenaten and the way his reign changed life in ancient Egypt would have never have occurred if Thutmose had become pharaoh instead. And it's very possible that we wouldn't even have known who Tutankhamun was if Thutmose hadn't died, as Tutankhamun wouldn't have become pharaoh, and his tomb probably.
Is she Dutch? I don't know. It does sound like she has kind of a like Dutch or Netherlands or what's that word? What's that country? Like, yeah, it kind of sounds like she has an accent from there. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Honey Boo Boo ruined us. I wonder, like, did reality TV ruin us? I feel like reality TV maybe ruined us a little bit. I don't know. I feel like it did. So one thing she doesn't talk about though in this video that I did read this a lot in a lot of places, and I thought it made sense, was that this pharaoh always voiced concern over how much power the priests had, which is why he went down this path of this one god thing, moving the capital so that so the people weren't able to access the old temples and things like that. So like that made sense to me, because when you actually like research ancient Egypt, the pharaoh really had no power. They were sort of just like a figurehead, like a symbol or whatever for the people to worship a god on earth. But really it was all of the priests and all the temples that were actually controlling the wealth, the food. They were handling the commerce. They were like the local city council, like, you know what I mean? They did all the local government. And so I was reading that this pharaoh had like concerns over how much power they had, and you know, he was worried that they would overthrow the throne, but the throne didn't really do a lot. Like they did a little bit, but like they didn't do a lot for the people locally. The throne kind of dealt with the bigger things like trade, war, things like that, which is important. But like the people of every day looking for food, help, medical, whatever, they would go to the temples. And I guess like from what I was reading is that he had an issue with how much power they had over the people, because the people outnumber the royalty, right? The upper class. So he had concerns over that, which is a whole thing too. That I was reading that King Henry had concerns about that too. And I've just noticed like anytime there's been like a ruler who has concerns about that, shit goes to like shit hits the fan. And then they like ruin a whole like dynasty or peoples, and then it takes us a while to recover. And I feel like we're doing that again. I feel like some of the moves being like taking place in America are like to make sure that the poor stays poor and that we don't move up. I feel like that's what some of it is. I'm like, I don't know what it is with people that just like, I find it fascinating that we have like these, we always have like these upper class and lower class all through humanity, and always upper class ends up having like a complete meltdown at some point over something that's not really an issue, but they think it's an issue, and then they ruin society, and it takes generations to recover from. It's crazy. It's crazy. I have a speech impediment and could never say to come on. I know I had to Google it when I did it. Um, oh no, not Tuca. Yeah, I can't say that one. That one's tough. I had to Google Akhenaten when I was covering it in a video. The Tutankhamun. What? I can't say it. I just say King Tut. 'Cause people know that, you know. Reality TV did desensitize us more than the news did somehow. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. So the Discovery Network basically ruined us by having to have content on like 4 or 5 channels. Yeah, the Discovery and the History Channel, like it started off like scientific and with sources and fact based, and then it just went totally wild. And I feel like TV did make us stupid. Like it really did. And now like a lot of people aren't really watching as much TV, but now we have the social media brain rot, which is worse. Like the TikTok brain rot. Oh my God, it's so bad. Have you read Project 2025? Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like it's got very much similarities in a lot of this stuff. It's very interesting. Um like King Henry didn't destroy everything all at once. Like he had a meltdown over other stuff, but like it could have been worse with him, you know? But he did destroy his bloodline by being such a shitty husband. And that made Elizabeth not want to get married because she was watching how he was also being controlled by the church and stuff, right? And that's why she was also Protestant. So, yeah. Meanwhile, I love the actual history, science learning, not just the giggling at the swamp people. Yeah. A lot of people can't seem to separate now anymore reality from like fiction. And it's really sad. Like sometimes I get like people that comment on some of my stuff. They're like, "Who cares? People know it's not real." I'm like, "No, they really don't." Like you assume that they do, but the majority don't. The majority of people believe all the bullshit. Like it's so bad how lost we are as a society. And it sucks being like, it sucks for us that are like seeing the problems and we just have to sit and watch. It's like there's too many of you. There's too many of you dumb people. And like you guys, all the people that believe in just lies, they watch it and they push it in the algorithm, and then those channels get more famous and bigger, right? So all it's doing is encouraging people to make more trash content, you know, to make money, and nobody wants to make real content. You know, it's just it's really sad. Yeah. Um I've always been a bit ditzy. My aunt asked me what year I was in, meaning high school year, and I responded the years and the date. Well, I mean, you know, I get like scatterbrain because I'm thinking about a bunch of stuff, and I will answer like dumbly and things like that sometimes, but it's just I'm just scatterbrained. I'm thinking about too many things. So I wouldn't really call it like a intelligence issue. Just kind of like a attention span issue. ADHD.
probably wouldn't have been filled with the amount of grave goods that made him so famous when it was discovered in 1922 by Howard Carter and his team. So yeah, major butterfly effect. But that's not the point of this video, so let's circle back to Akhenaten, who was born as Amenhotep IV. He became pharaoh either in 1353.
And yeah, I get mad sometimes. I'm like, why am I doing this? Why don't I just make a Jesus video and get rich? Yeah, I know. A lot of times I'm like, I could make a lot of this stupid content and get rich. The other thing interesting about this pharaoh, he was very weirdly shaped. He had a very long face and he was very skinny and he looked a little bit feminine. But he was really, I think he was like tall and lanky, but he had like a feminine sort of look to him. And a lot of people, there was a lot of, I don't know, I guess like homophobia, transphobia, and sexism in original archaeologists who've initially found a lot of the ancient Egyptian stuff. So a lot of times when we're looking at the history, we have to separate out what these guys just assumed who didn't know how to read hieroglyphs and just made assumptions versus now modern science, what we now know after figuring out a lot of the stuff after finding the Rosetta Stone and being able to break down stuff, right? So there's a lot of that actually with some of these people in ancient Egypt with some of the stories. And so there was always this story that this guy was maybe a trans person, but then later they said that his wife was trans because she like wanted to rule or something or was remarried. It's a whole thing. There's another queen that they said was trans because she dressed like the pharaoh, but she was pharaoh, and pharaoh wasn't like, it wasn't a male dress. It was just, that was the official dress for the ruler or whatever. So it's very interesting. Yeah, it was the white British researchers in Egypt. Yes. Yeah. And actually, Kaylee, she does a few videos on it. So I do think it's important for us to learn that as well. Yeah.
Or 1351 BCE. It's unclear how old he was when he became pharaoh, and it's also unclear if he shared power with his father Amenhotep III during a period of co-regency that may have lasted as long as 8 to 12 years or not. So Amenhotep IV, or Akhenaten, seemed to have married Nefertiti either right before he ascended the throne or shortly after he became pharaoh. However, he also had a lesser wife named Kia, and there's also the possibility that he was married to Tadukipa, who was the daughter of King Tushratta of the Mitanni kingdom.
I always like looking at these old maps of like how the kingdoms used to be. I find it very fascinating. I do want to explore more history, and I know I haven't done a lot about sort of the Babylonian like area and stuff like that. They have some very interesting religious history and gods and goddesses and pantheons. I do find very fascinating. Yeah. DNA testing is discovering warrior burials identified as male or female in several cultures. Well, yeah, a lot of the up here, like the Vikings, there's like a lot of the old like pagan tribes and stuff in like UK area and Ireland and Scotland, all that. A lot of them had a more female, like either equal, you were equals, or females were like considered the more had more whatever power or whatever, right? So but they didn't really follow like a king and queen kind of. I think that's where we get into like some problems a lot, is when we do these like monarchies or whatever, right? When we're more of a culture that's kind of tribe based. I guess there's like a tribal leader or whatever that's an elder. There might be a group of elders, but that's the whole thing. Like Viking history is very fascinating with all that as well. But there was like there was still sexism, don't get me wrong, but like Vikings are more like equal in their own way. Like there was women and men in different roles, and they were as powerful as each other in their own way, and women were warriors as well, like there's a whole like warrior culture, right? So I do find it very interesting. Yeah, Sumerian area too is very interesting. Like there's a lot of stuff in the Middle East that I know a little bit about, but I'm not like an expert in. But I do think it's very fascinating, is stuff that happened right before the Bible, because the Bible kind of took off really in there and then it sort of spread out, right? So So I do find that stuff interesting because we do see it actually show up in the Bible about them talking about false gods and stuff, and they're usually talking about the ones from over in here, right? So, so yeah, I need to explore that a little bit more. I know I'm really bad at. I tried to like move more east and tried to learn more about the history. Like when I do a lot of history, I like to look at stuff more the religious side, and then I look at sociology. So I like to see the way that they live their everyday lives, but I really love to kind of start with religion because I find that stuff fascinating. When I tried to learn China and Japan and stuff, I'm like their stuff is very complex that I'm like I just don't even know where to like I was struggling of like how to learn it. Like I've never been able to grasp it all. There's so much. And I believe that they were around like I think China at the very least has been around since like ancient Egypt. Like they've been around for like 20,000, I don't know, it's been like forever. So they have so much history, man. Yeah. Dude, even in current time, the strongest folks I know are usually women. And whenever a woman is in power, it like the country usually does better, to be honest. So that's what the war is about, where the Bible started and who owns the land. Yeah, that's the thing. I just, it's so dumb. Like, I don't know why we're killing people. Like, why are we killing each other over a book? Like, religion should not be this, like, we shouldn't kill each other over religion. Religion is just supposed to be a guide on how to live your life, but it shouldn't be something that blood gets shed over. I just find it crazy that this is like, I don't understand people that go that far, right?
Although it has never been definitively proven that Akhenaten and Tarukipa married, and some scholars have suggested that Kia and Tarukipa are one and the same woman. But again, there has not been proof of this, and this is not of importance to this particular video, as I wanted to focus on the disappearances of the mummies of Akhenaten and Nefertiti and where their royal burial tombs are. So let's continue our focus on Akhenaten, again born Amenhotep IV, and why he has been such a controversial figure in ancient Egypt, and search for clues as to why their bodies disappeared. So Akhenaten, like I just mentioned, married Nefertiti, and they had at least 6 daughters together by the names of Meritaten, Meketaten, Ankesempaten, Neferneferuate Tasherit, Neferneferure, and Setempenre. For a while it was thought that Nefertiti was also the mother of Tutankhamun, who was born as Tutankhaten. However, a genetic study on the mummy of Tutankhamun and the mummy believed to belong to Kia, the lesser wife of his father Akhenaten, showed that Kia was Tutankhamun's mother and not Nefertiti.
Yeah, so is that I think that she was saying that that's a different wife, like he has another wife. I'm pretty sure. Or was she saying that the daughter was the mother of King Tut? I think it was another wife though. If it was the daughter was the mother of King Tut, then that would make sense why King Tut was so like sick and genetically deformed too. So yeah, the names are interesting. Yeah, it is difficult to pronounce a lot of stuff. Like I was learning Arabic at one point because like I said, I wanted to be an archaeologist and I wanted to learn Aramaic, which you got to learn Arabic first and then Hebrew, and then you can learn Aramaic. You can grasp Aramaic better at that point. So I was learning Arabic and I was learning how to read and write it, and that was fine. But then I was trying to learn how to pronounce it, and like this is like before the internet. So then I had to like rent these tapes or whatever, not rent, but whatever, borrow tapes from the library on how to like pronounce, how to do the pronunciation. And it was so difficult. I ended up giving up on it because it was so difficult to learn pronunciation for this. Like you have to, like in the tapes was like, imagine a piece of popcorn is stuck in the back of your throat and that's the noise you want to make. I'm like, what the hell? Like this is so difficult to do. So yeah, it's so hard to do the pronunciation.
The origins of Nefertiti are unknown. It is unknown who her parents were, although it has been proposed that Ai, who later on became pharaoh, was her father.
Okay, so we have, okay, The younger lady. Okay, so it was another wife. Okay. But no one knows where that wife came from? Or was that wife Nefertiti's sister? Or was it his sister, I wonder? Well, no, because his parents are here, right? Question mark. Okay, so these people we know about, they got married, and these two got married. And then this is another bloodline being brought in, maybe, because we have a question mark here. So then they had Amenhotep, which is Akhenaten, right? No, gave birth to Akhenaten, married to Tai. So this is the other bloodline. Oh, but Nefertiti then is his cousin. Okay. First cousin. So that's, yeah, genetic defects. So the younger lady, I just wonder like who that is, because King Tut was very genetically deformed. Like it was very bad, like inbreeding. So I'm curious where this lady's from, because if it was like his sister or something, at least this was like a little bit out of the bloodline, but like if they were sticking all within the bloodline there, that would have been a little bit crazy, right? Look how many kids she had too. Holy crap, for back then. Although they had really good modern medicine, well, whatever, modern for back then.
I was the possibly brother of T, Queen T, making him an uncle of Akhenaten. Although there is no written evidence pointing this way. And since there is no body of Nefertiti and no body of I, we are unable to know who Nefertiti's parents are. So again, Nefertiti
Kaylee, I was just Googling it. She's Dutch. Yeah, that's the accent, is Dutch.
T's origins are completely unknown. During the very early years in his reign, Akhenaten resided in Thebes. During this time, he was still known by his birth name of Amenhotep IV. At the Karnak temple complex, he had several temples erected, including the temple of Amenhotep IV, with mansion of Ben to the east, which was devoted to a solar cult. If you know anything about ancient Egypt and its gods, you know that the sun was Ra, or Re, in Upper Egypt, and Amun in Lower Egypt. And after Upper and Lower Egypt came together and unified, thus becoming the Egyptian kingdom,
this is what a lot of people forget, is that it was Upper and Lower Egypt for for I think 5,000 years or something. And then it was ancient Egypt, then they combined, and that was the ancient Egypt we all know. And that was like 10,000 years. Like, so Egypt is the longest civilization that like organized and like modernized, civilization of ever, like the humankind, right? You could make an argument for some in China, but I feel like China is a little bit different because they have different regions and different like emperors and things like that. So I'd have to look up the China, because I think China could maybe come in as maybe the longest. But regardless, my point is that like we are a crazy young society. like even America, what is it 120 or 200 years or something? No, I feel like it's 250, right? Years. And like Canada's very young too. And I just look at this, like we look at ancient Egypt, we're like, man, like they lasted for a long time. Because when you look at Greece, didn't last very long compared to this. Rome was even like short. I feel like Rome is very similar to the United States, and I feel like it's the same thing is kind of happening. Rome mainly fell because they invaded and took over too many other countries and regions, and they didn't have the support structure for it. And with what's happening in America right now, wanting Greenland and Canada and this and that, like you can't take all the countries and be able to run them all. Like that's why Rome fell. And man, he's like, this administration is rushing to end rushing to end the civilization of America. I swear to God, like they are like speed rushing this, right? So it's very interesting though to like compare how young we are, and like compare even like just the Bible. Since the Bible, what, we're in the year 2025, this is nothing. This is a drop in the bucket compared to ancient Egypt and ancient China too. Like It's just like we are so young and we are so small, and I feel like the Bible, like we're recovering from it, but now the internet is destroying us. Like the internet is like the biggest like misinformation thing right now. It's such a mess. So yeah, 250. Yeah, I thought it was 250 because I thought I remember there was like a celebration or there is going to be one. It's 250 this year or something. Something like that.
The sun god became known as Amun-Ra, or sometimes Amun-Re. During the reign of Akhenaten's father, Amenhotep III, the Aten, the disk of the sun and originally an aspect of Ra, was worshipped. So during the very first years of Akhenaten's reign, he still worshipped many gods of the ancient Egyptian pantheon. But in the third year of his reign, he held a Hetsep festival, which is a festival that's normally held around the 30th year in a pharaoh's reign, and it was a ritualistic festival in which the pharaoh demonstrated they're still more than capable of reigning, and it's seen as a renewal and celebration of one's kingship. For Akhenaten to celebrate this Hetsep festival already in only his third year of reigning as pharaoh is very peculiar and honestly very strange. Not only is the fact that he held the said festival this quickly after ascending the throne strange, but instead of embracing a range of cults and honoring many of the gods in the Egyptian pantheon during this said festival, he only embraced the Aten, in the form of the disk of the sun, with its rays ending in hands reaching out to the royal family. The Aten cult held a special place for the royal women, especially Nefertiti, and thus it created a divine triad, with Aten, Akhenaten, and Nefertiti.
See, isn't that interesting? Because the pharaoh and the queen, like, they're gods on earth, right? And even you look at Christian religion right now, and we have the Trinity. You look at some pagan religion too from back in the day, like Celtic and stuff has a Trinity as well. And I do find it very interesting that Trinity seems to repeat among a lot of religions. But the thing that's interesting too about this is that this is monotheistic religion, which wasn't normal back then, because what he was around 1337 BC. And when did like Jewish religion start? So it was like 12th or 11th century BCE. So Jewish religion, which was monotheistic, it started like 100 years after, 100 to 200, oh wait, well, no, 200 to 300 years after this pharaoh. So that is interesting. I wonder if like this pharaoh gave the idea for it, or like if this traveled over time, if people left the area, if this started the Jewish thing. Like, I don't really know. I haven't done like a lot of research on Jewish, but I feel like I would like to learn a little bit more on the Jewish religion and understand where it started from. Actually, just even exploring monotheistic religions, like who was, because as far as I always understood it, this pharaoh Akhenaten was the first to do it, the first to do a monotheistic. So I do find it very interesting. Love the cult of education thrown in for us, something for everyone, one video. Yeah. Can you do a separate breakdown video on the Moffat haunting? It's supposed to be demonic, but sounded human to me. I don't know if I feel like it sounds familiar. I don't know if I've heard of it. Moffat haunting. It's Blumhouse. Lord. It's Blumhouse, so it's not great. Yeah. I mean, I think it's on our list of things to look at. But no, I don't think that a demon did it. So, when was the family school books? What year was it that happened? Moffat haunting year 1980s. And yeah, it's always that Like, have you guys noticed that we aren't inundated with all these haunted houses that are from demons that are hurting these families? Like, have you guys noticed that this isn't a thing anymore? That all these things took place during the time when horror movies were first becoming a thing because they didn't exist before, and the Satanic Panic happened. Like, I've just noticed like the majority of these stories are like 1970 to 1990. Like it's always this range, maybe even 1990s, right? But the Satanic Panic lasted into the 1990s, right? So it's like, that's why I don't understand why people don't connect that and think, okay, well, none of these are real then, because why are demons only coming and haunting houses and possessing people only during 1970 to 1990s? You know, like we haven't been getting any of that anymore. It was mainly during the Satanic Panic, yeah. So no, I don't believe it, and it's doubtful. But yeah, well, we could take a look at it at some point.
Shortly after the festival, the Aten cult rose into power and its belief became intensified.
I wanted to add as well to this, because she doesn't talk about some of the stuff. I think it's maybe rumors. Like, she likes to talk about stuff that's like got proof behind it, and if there's anything that she finds interesting or that she hopes is true, then she'll kind of like make it clear that there's no proof of it. But what I heard is that because he looked odd, this king looked odd, and when we look at the genetic deformity of King Tut, a lot of people, like a lot of Egyptologists, do believe that maybe there was something wrong with this pharaoh, right? That he didn't look right, he looked sickly and whatever, and that might be why he did this celebration. And maybe that's also why he was panicking and trying to shut down the priests in the temples too. Maybe he was worried about losing his power or whatever over the people because he didn't look well, and like he didn't look normal. He definitely didn't look normal compared to the rest of the other people, right? There's something off about his looks even. Um, so I think it would make sense then that's maybe why he did this celebration earlier. And also I think he did the celebration to introduce the monotheism. So it is very interesting the way they handle this. And I do wonder if Nefertiti played a role in this, because when you look at how they implemented it, women were very much more like put up more on a pedestal at this point. Whereas like most time in ancient Egypt, women were like, they weren't in any position of power. And at most, the women were medics for women. Like, that's the only thing I will say, like, thank God, because it's so dumb that we lost that whole aspect to our history. Women should be taking care of women's health, you know? At least back then. Nowadays, I mean, we have better training, so whatever. But like we've gone so far backwards because of men taking over women's health. But so like that was the only time you could be a priestess in ancient Egypt, is if you were a medic, if you did medical, right? And that would be like the only positions of power that women could hold. So Egypt, I do find them very fascinating. They're a very like advanced civilization, but they were very, very sexist, like very, very, very sexist, and very classist too, you know? So anyway, I do find it interesting because they raised Nefertiti up, and it's like some people theorize that maybe she's the one that brought the idea of the one god to him, and that this is all her doing. But you know, there's also a lot of sexism when you look at archaeology, because it started from, you know, those white guys back in the day from Britain or whatever. So anyway, it is interesting because you gotta look at the history of archaeology when you look at the history of ancient civilizations to figure out what's true and what's not true. So, also I noticed her shirt is kind of cool. I like that little heartbeat thing. I think that's neat.
Amenhotep IV changed his official name to Akhenaten. Akhenaten ordered workers to chisel out the names of other gods from walls of monuments, especially targeting Amun, Mut, and Khonsu. During the 5th year of Akhenaten's reign, he announced plans to erect a new cult area and
Yeah, and I hate that that's something that humans do. For some reason, we like destroy evidence of things. So what was the gods? It was a moon god. I'm just kind of curious. I don't think I ever looked at it. Amun is a creator god. Oh, interesting. Rose to become the king of the gods and national protector. So he was like the Zeus of the gods. You know, that's actually interesting. I don't think I ever, oh no, I do remember him actually now that I see the picture. See, that's really fascinating too, because the headdress that he's using is one that this pharaoh used in a lot of his carvings for himself. So that is interesting. You would think that you would choose that for your god, but I guess he never even chose one god to be the one god. He actually chose a symbol of the sun, and not actually even any of the gods. So that's very fascinating. Yeah, erasing history and deities. I know, I hate that. I hate that we do that. I don't know why we do that. Okay, what was the other gods? Then we have Moot. Actually, Moot sounds familiar. Moot. Egyptian god. Mother goddess. She was the queen of heaven and associate. So she was the queen of creation. So she was his consort, his wife, right? So that would make sense if he's trying to destroy the forget the word again. Oh my god. Okay, then we have Khonsu. Okay, hold on. Khonsu, Egyptian. Oh my god. Egyptian god. Okay, yeah, I'm spelling it wrong. God of the moon. Oh, so I bet that there was like this whole only worship the sun, the moon is evil kind of thing, and we definitely have to knock out the faces of the mother and father of creation because he doesn't want them to have power anymore, right? So that it kind of makes sense. The ones that he is specifically really concentrated on destroying. But I hate that they destroyed that stuff. I really do. It's really sad because even people did it with like Rome and Greece too. Yeah. A full moon tonight. Oh, is it? Oh, okay. Imagine you were a struggling graffiti artist in ancient Egypt, right? Right.
Year of Akhenaten's reign, he announced plans to erect a new cult area and a new capital city entirely for the Aten. And he chose a location in the middle between Luxor, which back then was known as Thebes, and Cairo, which back then was known as Memphis. And this new city became known as Akhetaten, which means rise of the Aten or horizon of the Aten. Although the site is known in modern times under the name of Amarna and is located in the Minya province of Egypt. After 2 years of construction at the city of Akhetaten, it officially became the new capital city of the Egyptian kingdom, and construction was sped up by using mud bricks instead of building everything from stone. So the mud bricks were then whitewashed to give it the appearance as if it was made from stone. But only the most important buildings in the city were actually faced with stones that were quarried locally. So, as you can imagine, Akhetaten was hastily constructed, and the entire population
Crap. Hold on. It signed me out of chat. 1 second. I don't know why it does this. It's really annoying. Oh, oops. Hold on. Let me just do this. Hold on. Because it signed me out of my chat on my streaming software. I don't know why it does it, but it's really annoying. I don't know my password, so that's why I gotta look it up. I just use those like password thingies.
We're
Why
building
are
the
you
future of
loading-
nuclear energy right here.
Oh my god, why is it loading a video when I'm trying to look at the chat? It's so random. What the hell? Oh my god, it's so broken. I swear. Okay, I think we're good. Okay, we're good now.
of the Kingdom of Egypt was uprooted. Their religious beliefs were challenged as their pharaoh ordered the change from polytheism to monotheism, the only god allowed to be worshipped being the Aten, the new sun god. And when a pharaoh makes a decision or gives an order, the people obey him, as the pharaoh is actually the living embodiment of a god. You don't question a god, especially not in ancient Egypt. All evidence discovered of this time period suggests that Queen Nefertiti joined Akhenaten in his religious shift, as Nefertiti is frequently shown making offerings to the Aten without Akhenaten by her side, suggesting that she actually must have possessed an unusual level of autonomy in the Egyptian royal court. There are actually reliefs of Nefertiti smiting enemies, which is a motif normally only reserved for the pharaoh, which suggests that Nefertiti had a place of authority in the royal court. In fact, the famous stele of Akhenaten and Nefertiti that is now held in the Berlin Museum shows Akhenaten and Nefertiti as almost the same size, showing the natural dimorphism of the sexes instead of a hierarchical scale. So their features are all very similar, and they both wear headgear of similar shapes. Nefertiti with her flat-topped crown, and Akhenaten seems to be wearing his blue crown. Depicted
And see, that's like fascinating if she was trying to kind of create like an equal rights kind of thing for women. I think that's really fascinating. But he definitely, like, he went all in too hard too quick, right? And that made the people hate him. So yeah, but see, he was like weirdly shaped in all the pictures you see. He carries his weight. He has this weird pouch thing, but otherwise he's super skinny. And that's why there's a lot of thought about, but she looks similar too. So like you can tell they're related, right? So that's why there's a lot of question about maybe he was odd looking, maybe he was sick or something. And maybe that's why else, they did that celebration, or that's why else he like really did this huge power grab and moved everything. The babies are horrifying in this carving. Yeah, they're a little bit weird, aren't they? They just look like little people. They don't look like children. And the heads too, right, are weirdly shaped. But that's interesting too, because like heads weren't shaped like that back then, but because all the headdresses and everything they wore, it was like artistic liberty to match them being gods or whatever, right? They were supposed to look a little bit different or something. So it's very interesting. Also, if you want to see some or hear about something interesting too, you should look into the hair removal and like everything about hair in ancient Egypt. That's very fascinating as well.
on this stele, the Aten holds two Ankh symbols to the noses of both Akhenaten and Nefertiti, which actually suggests that in the eyes of the god the Aten, Akhenaten and Nefertiti were alike. Which really isn't normal back in ancient Egypt. You had the pharaoh that was the might of the power, and then his wife, and his wife was always seen as lesser. Even a royal wife wasn't as important as the fucking pharaoh. So when Akhenaten ascended the throne, Egypt was an economic and military powerhouse with strong international relations. The temples throughout the kingdom raked in quite some funds, which definitely helped boost the economy. But, as you can imagine, all of this changed when Akhenaten disbanded the priesthoods and diverted money away from Amun and other gods to establish grand temples of Aten, which were very different in style to previous places of worship. It also didn't help that Akhenaten was living in the relatively isolated city of Akhetaten, which meant that he was living a life in seclusion, separated from the courts where crucial decisions were made for the kingdom. And this resulted in international relations floundering, bureaucracy being bogged down, other powerhouses outside of Egypt were left unchecked and thus were able to conspire against Akhenaten and his kingdom. So even though Akhenaten was the living embodiment of a god, the Egyptian people started to blame Akhenaten and his rule for the natural disasters that were occurring. They blamed him for the plagues that were affecting the people. They blamed him for the economy being destroyed by the costs of a hastily built new capital city, while they already had two functioning capital cities. And they blamed Akhenaten for the continued bloodshed from the Hittites. I'm actually going to see the Hittite kingdom of Hattush.
Does this sound familiar? Yeah, exactly. Right? It's like, why do we always end up like one of these crazy leaders? Seems like every 100 years or something. We always end up with one of these crazy leaders who just goes in and destroys everything. And it's all like it's greed, right? He shut down all the temples and diverted all the money to him. Like this pharaoh was a mess. Like it's fascinating to like hear about the history, but he wasn't a good person. He really did like screw over all of his people. Was Nefertiti not the name of Rachel Wise's Egyptian reincarnation? A lot of, yeah, I mean in the movies, yeah, probably. But a lot of people will say that they're reincarnations of like Egypt and stuff, and they'll like use Queen Nefertiti. Queen Nefertiti is a very popular one because she's, well, considered the mother of King Tut, but she's not the mother of King Tut, but whatever, you know. There's a lot of old like pictures and carvings and stuff of her around, so yeah. I like the electric universe theory. I don't know if I've heard that one before. Electric universe. That one is. Electric universe theory. Proposing that electricity and electromagnetic forces rather than gravity shape the universe, power stars, and dictate galaxy formation. Suggests that 99% of the universe is plasma and that electric currents, not nuclear fusion, drive stellar evolution. Oh, it's interesting. I don't think that there's math to back that up to just completely discount gravity, but I do think that there might be an aspect to this to do with maybe, what is it, dark matter or dark energy? One of the ones that we can't figure out is the expanding universe, the blackness. I can't remember what. I always forget if it's dark matter or dark energy, but it could, because that's unexplainable. So like it could fit into something like that. Yeah. Yeah, because this does contradict like proven things in physics. So, but it is interesting because gravity, but see, you can't discount gravity. Gravity, it does exist and it is a fundamental thing of the universe. But if this accounted, if maybe plasma or something, if you want to say plasma is actually like dark matter, and it's actually like electricity that we don't see or understand, I could see that. That could make sense. So it's interesting. Yeah, it's not science-based, though. It is pseudoscience, but it is interesting.
Very soon, in a couple weeks, as I'm traveling to Turkey again. I'm doing another Turkey tour and you can actually join me. I'll put the link for that in the description down below, and I highly recommend you do join me because this is the last time you can see Karahan Tepe before they construct a roof over it. So I do indeed highly recommend you joining my Turkey tour. It's only 10 days and it's filled with incredible ancient sites. Also, if you want to learn more about Akhenaten himself, my friend Curtis Ryan Woodside here on YouTube is currently working on a 2-hour-long documentary on the life and afterlife of Akhenaten. I'm personally a massive fan of his work and highly recommend checking out his documentaries on ancient Egypt. He is an amazing filmmaker and I'll link to his channel in the description down below as well. So yeah, as you can see,
Yeah, 2-hour documentary sounds interesting. I wonder, when is she going to his Turkey thing? Oh, is it over? Yeah, it's probably over, isn't it? She probably went during the winter or something because she has mentioned before that it's better to travel these places when it's cooler. Where's this one? 2026, Ancients of the Wonder. Is this it? Is this the Turkey one? Let's see. Because that sucks. They're gonna like build over, like they're just gonna ruin like old ruins. They're just gonna like build over top of them. That's unfortunate. It would be fun to go on something like this. Like you travel with a historian and archaeologist. Like I would definitely do something like that for sure. This sounds fun. I would do this. Yeah, that sounds fun. Her friend hears this. The sisters who ruled before King Tut. Oh, interesting. I didn't know about that. The babies, yeah, I know about the two mummy babies. Two sisters that ruled before him. Oh, okay. Interesting. Oops. Did he do this thing yet? Oh, wow. He did a full story of this pharaoh. He's doing full stories. Complete history of the Greeks and ancient Egypt. Oh, okay. What does his voice sound like, actually, if I can fall asleep to it, I wonder. I like fall asleep to history stuff. Yeah, a bit expensive, but really fun. It's pretty on par price-wise, because if you're coming out of North America, that the plane travel and everything. I wonder though, flight's probably not included in that, is it? Yeah, it's probably it's a bit of a pricey trip, but I imagine it's probably a lot of fun.
Something with
I want to hear his voice. Talk somewhere, man.
On the new throne name for the female pharaoh, Ma'at Kara.
Okay, so he sounds like maybe Arabic? Maybe he's Egyptian. Yeah, he's got that kind of accent. Okay. I'll have to check it out. Oh, I forgot to subscribe. Hold on.
To uphold the balance.
Yeah, subscribe. If he does like full stories, I like watching full stories. I think it's fun.
Most of the footage in this video was actually shot by Curtis, and therefore you kind of just need to subscribe to him because his stuff's awesome. But back to the subject of this video. Some people believe that Nefertiti was promoted to co-regent before Akhenaten's death. But Nefertiti's name seems to have disappeared from historical records, and a new name, Neferneferuata, pops up as co-regent before Akhenaten's demise. It is speculated that Neferneferuata is actually Nefertiti, but other people are of the belief that Neferneferuata refers to a daughter of Akhenaten and Nefertiti. After 17 years of ruling over ancient Egypt, Akhenaten suddenly died. Neferneferuata, or Smenkare, reigned over the kingdom first before Tutankhamun became Wata, or of ruling over. After 17 years.
So 17 years. Yeah, I mean that's long enough to do some damage. I thought she said 7 at first, and I was like, that's a lot. He did a lot of stuff in 7 years. So, but you know, I have heard that some people believe that it's still Queen Nefertiti, and she just changed her name when she became like pharaoh or whatever, when she became ruler, because that is a thing sometimes that rulers do. They'll change their name. So yeah. What's it called when you believe laws can be different in different regions of space? Are you talking about like science, like physics, the laws of physics? The laws of physics are the same, though. I'm not sure what you mean. So, industrial museum with coal works. Yeah, if that's something that you enjoy, then yeah, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That sounds like pseudoscience stuff to me, so I'm not really familiar with it. Yeah, sorry.
Of ruling over ancient Egypt, Akhenaten suddenly died. Neferneferuata, or Smenkare, reigned over the kingdom first before Tutankhamun became pharaoh. I have actually made a video a couple years ago about the possibility of 1 or 2 of Tutankhamun's sisters reigning over Egypt in the years between the death of Akhenaten and the reign of Tutankhamun, and I will link to that video in the description down below. And then there is the mysterious document that was discovered in the ancient Hittite capital of Hattusha in modern-day Turkey that dates back to the Amarna period. Again, Hattusha that I will be seeing with the mysterious green stone during my Turkey tour. Highly recommend joining. But okay, in this letter, the Egyptian queen of the time writes that she has just lost her husband, and she asks the Hittite king to give her one of his sons, as he has many, and she has none, to become her husband, and she does not wish to take one of her subjects. This proposal was considered extraordinary, as the new kingdom royal women never married foreign royalty. But it does seem like the Hittite king Suppiluliuma I eventually sent one of his sons to Egypt. Unfortunately, the prince died, possibly murdered while he was en route to the Egyptian kingdom. The identity of the queen in the letter has never been found out. The Hittites refer to her as Dakamunzu, which literally translates to the king's wife. So there are no clues as to what we can gather from this, unfortunately. But there are some Egyptologists that firmly believe that it was Nefertiti who wrote the letter to the Hittite king. Nefertiti being depicted as equally as powerful as her husband would definitely feel like marrying one of her subjects or servants as an act beneath her. Okay, so to give a quick recap, Akhenaten was born as Amenhotep IV, son of Pharaoh Amenhotep III. He was not born as the heir, and up until his older brother died, he was not the crown prince. Akhenaten may have reigned alongside his father for a number of years before his father Amenhotep III died. The origins of Nefertiti, who her parents were and where she came from, is unknown, and probably will always be unknown. And until we find her mummy, we will not know this. Akhenaten and Nefertiti married around the time Akhenaten became pharaoh. They had 6 daughters together, and Akhenaten had at least one lesser wife, who we now know to be the mother of Tutankhamun through a genetic study. Akhenaten and Nefertiti uprooted the lives of the ancient Egyptians by changing their polytheistic religion and beliefs into a monotheistic religion, worshipping only one god, the Aten, and declaring Akhetaten, the modern-day known city of Amarna, as the capital city. Akhenaten ruled over Egypt for a total of 17 years, and this quite sudden death resulted in Akhetaten being abandoned almost immediately afterwards. His radical rule caused quite some damage to the kingdom, and it took multiple generations of pharaohs to repair this damage. So
And see, and that's crazy too. Like you look at it, you're like, yeah, multiple generations. And then if you look at World War II, right? What was that, like 1930s? So you could even say, like, I mean, we recovered a bit faster from that, but that took a bit of time, because there were kids that were raised, like the babies that kind of grew up in Germany at that time, and they had to like sort of deprogram them because they all believed that this was the right way. The thing is, a bunch of them are still out there, and a lot of you know, the ones who supported the little man with the mustache, they ended up like escaping down to Africa. And that's why Elon Musk's grandparents, they are those people. And that's why a lot of people believe Elon Musk is one too. And that's why I think we're in the position we're in, because we never actually really got rid of that way of thinking. So it's pretty crazy. But multiple generations to fix this kind of mess is like, that's insane. It's insane. Rough times back then. I mean, we're kind of repeating it again. So I always believe macro mirrors and micro to some degree. I always theories that physical laws break down closer and closer to black holes. Well, yeah, I mean, if you're near a black hole, yeah, and like the more that you go, like the smaller you go into the world, like the atoms, and you go deeper and deeper. What is the name of that? I always forget the freaking name of it every friggin' time. Like quantum physics. You go like smaller and smaller and deeper and deeper. Hey, Chris. Things start getting weird the smaller you go. That's where a lot of like things start to change, and the laws of physics don't really apply. But that's in the world of the super tiny. There were actual Egyptian mummies and artifacts on display at the university I went to, and I was alone with them frequently when I had to visit my professor's office. Yeah, it's really interesting. And she does do a video on why there's like no mummies, like there's not very many of them in existence, and it's really gross. But they were actually grave robbing them and turning them into medicine. and paint, especially paint. There's one called Mummy Brown, and apparently it was like the best brown in the world. And so they ruined all these like mummies and all these like tombs to make paint. Like, it's crazy. Yeah, it's insane.
Akhenaten was called a heretic and an enemy to ancient Egypt after his death and after his son Tutankhamun died, as there was no one left to keep up his legacy anymore. His monuments were destroyed, sometimes even obliterated. The temples he had constructed for the Aten were destroyed, and the stones were reused for the construction of temples to worship the traditional gods. So now that we know the full picture and understand more of the scope of the controversy, it begs the question, where are the royal tombs of both Akhenaten and Nefertiti? And where are their mummies? Or have they already uncovered Akhenaten's mummy? So let's look at all the possible answers to these questions, shall we? Akhenaten had a royal tomb constructed in the royal Wadi, which lies east of the city of Akhetaten, and after his death, Akhenaten seems to have been buried in this tomb. So this tomb has been discovered. The tomb was never finished, and the burial chamber of Akhenaten was easily detected, as it was the only chamber within the tomb that was fully finished. So it seems like the rest of this tomb and its chambers were constructed for his family members in the case of them dying. But work on the tomb was abandoned a few years after Akhenaten had died, as the royal family moved back to Thebes, modern-day Luxor. After the royal family had moved back to Thebes, Akhenaten's sarcophagus was destroyed, although it seems like Akhenaten's mummy was already removed from the tomb prior to the destruction of the sarcophagus and his tomb. The most likely explanation would be that Tutankhamun had Akhenaten's mummy moved back to Thebes, modern-day Luxor, and laid him to rest in the Valley of the Kings. It's actually proposed by some Egyptologists that Akhenaten's mummy was laid to rest in tomb KV55 in the Valley of the Kings, although this tomb was later desecrated during the 19th dynasty. The mummy from KV55 and Tutankhamun share the same blood group and serum antigen, which suggests that they were closely related. But the mummy from KV55 seems to not be the father of the female mummy that has been identified as the mother of the two fetuses found in Tutankhamun's tomb. Why is that bit important? You may ask yourself this. So Tutankhamun seemed to have only had one wife, his sister, Ankhesenamun, who was one of the daughters of Akhenaten and Nefertiti, born as Ankhesempaten. So if she was not the daughter of the mummy from tomb KV55, that would simply mean that the mummy in tomb KV55 does not belong to Akhenaten. I've actually made a video on these two fetuses that were found in the tomb of Tutankhamun, and I highly recommend watching that, and I'll put a link to that video in the description down below as well. Zahi Hawass, famed Egyptologist who's also quite controversial, was being the head of the research team that did the genetic study and proclaimed the mummy from tomb KV55 as Akhenaten. But as you can imagine, this claim remains controversial in 2025 because of the fact that Ankhesenamun did not seem to be the daughter of Akhenaten, even though we know that she was the daughter of Akhenaten and she married Tutankhamun, her brother. Thus, Akhenaten's mummy really may not have been found yet, and it's unclear if we would ever find it, as Akhenaten was such a controversial pharaoh, believed to be a tyrant by some.
Yeah, for those of you in the chat, pretty much either Queen Nefertiti had children, all of her children were from a different man, which is possible, because I wonder if that's the guy who also started the transgender rumor, because that's the thing. One of the Egyptologists from like back in the day started this rumor that Akhenaten, was transgender, was actually a woman, right? So if that was true, right, let's say, then Queen Nefertiti would have had to have found a man to have children with, and then that would make sense as to why this mummy that they're saying is Akhenaten, that's not the father or whatever. It's pretty much, this guy is saying that that's Akhenaten because he believes it is for different, I guess, paperwork reasons. He's traced down that he must be in this tomb, right? But all the genetic stuff is showing that that this mummy is not the father of all these children. But here's the thing too, if we're doing genetic testing, then we would know that that mummy in there is a male. So either Nefertiti was sleeping with somebody else, or this guy who thinks that that's Akhenaten, that's not Akhenaten. The reality is that's probably not Akhenaten, right? And they still haven't found Nefertiti's mummy. However, they do believe that it is there's a chamber behind King Tut, and they believe she's back there, but they don't want anyone touching the tomb anymore. So it's possible that Akhenaten is in there with him, but he was a tyrant pharaoh and people hated him. So I would think also maybe King Tut and them would have been on the down low of like where they put his body. So I don't know. It's hard to say, to be honest. So, and I guess maybe that's why their tomb was so decorated with so many riches and things like that, because his father literally stole it all from the priests and from the temples, and the temples were there to help the people. So his father took away all the money and all the help from the temples, destroyed all the temples, and the temples were also in charge of rationing out the food and making sure people had food, making sure people had money, making sure that there was like commerce and a bank and trade and things like that. And he just destroyed all that. He took all that out. So imagine a leader coming in and clearing the swamp and deleting all of government. And then this is what we end up with, right? And we're literally repeating this story right now in history. It's crazy that this is like, we are repeating this right now. So it's nuts.
It could very well be that the people in ancient Egypt have destroyed his mummy or hid him and made him disappear completely. But what's even more strange is the disappearance of Nefertiti. We already have no idea where she originally comes from. There's no evidence giving us any conclusive answers to her origins. There are some Egyptologists that say that Nefertiti disappeared around the 12th year of Akhenaten's reign. But there was an inscription found in 2012 that dates to Akhenaten's 16th year of reigning as pharaoh, where she was clearly mentioned and referred to as Akhenaten's great royal wife, his beloved mistress of the two lands, Neferneferuata Nefertiti. So this means that Nefertiti was alive at least during the year before Akhenaten died, and that her husband was still the sole ruler of the kingdom, and that both of them still held the same positions as they did at the start of his reign. However, there was a female pharaoh by the name of Neferneferuata that reigned over Egypt from Amarna after Akhenaten died and before Tutankhamun became pharaoh. This female pharaoh, Neferneferuata, used the title effective for her husband on one of her cartouches. Thus, some Egyptologists have suggested that this was Nefertiti who shortly ruled over Egypt. But there are other Egyptologists who are of the belief that Meditaten, the daughter of Nefertiti and Akhenaten, reigned over Egypt under the name of Neferneferuata until her brother Tutankhamun was old enough to ascend the throne. So whether Nefertiti ruled over Egypt for those 3 years or not will probably never.
Yeah, and considering that King Tut married his sister, like that was the next like line, right? So her saying that she's a ruler in place of her husband or something for those 3 years, it could have been Nefertiti, but it could have also been the sister that he married, because technically they were husband and wife anyway, right? So yeah, it's hard to say. I feel like though she would have then carried on that name as a queen, you would think she would carry on that name once they hit rule, but maybe she changed her name just to signify that the king was taking over. Yeah, it's hard to say because it would make more sense, right? Didn't someone put out an updated picture of Cleopatra? I know someone did some like reconstruction of her face. There's a few YouTubers that do reconstruction stuff, and they've done a reconstruction of her face. So, but yeah, I would think though. See, my thought is that this 3-year queen or whatever, I feel like it was the sister, because then if it was the mother, why would she die exactly when King Tut reached of age to become king? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like the mother did die, and there's really no record of when she died. I wonder too if like she was assassinated, if her husband was assassinated as well, because apparently they died like uh really suddenly. And I wonder if their kids hated them too. I'm curious about that because the kids did move immediately back to the original city and reinstated the gods and everything, which makes me think that maybe the kids like hated their parents too and hated what they created. So it's interesting.
Become clear, but what we do know for certain is that she seemed to have completely disappeared shortly after the death of her husband Akhenaten. And she doesn't seem to have been laid to rest at Akhetaten, or Amarna if you will, with her husband Akhenaten. So after his death and early into the rule of Tutankhamun, she just seems to have completely disappeared. Just poof. Numerous mummies have been proposed to be the body of Nefertiti over the years, but none have ever been confirmed. Her royal burial tomb has also never been discovered, and as wife of the pharaoh, how controversial her husband may have been, she would have at least been given a royal tomb befit for a queen after her death. Some Egyptologists are of the belief that Nefertiti may have been exiled when Tutankhamun ascended the throne. Others believe that she died and that's why Tutankhamun became pharaoh at the very young age of 8 or 9. Egyptologist Nicholas Reeves claimed that Nefertiti's tomb and mummy were hidden behind a wall of Tutankhamun's tomb. Initial radar scans seemed to support this theory as it detected what seemed to be metal.
So if there was no like age of like ascending to the throne, if he was pharaoh at age 8 or 9, then maybe she did die right away. Maybe this ruler for 3 years was her, and she did suddenly die. And like, you know, if he buried her with him, because there is like this possible resting place of Nefertiti, right? So there was where's the treasure chamber? Yeah, so King Tut's right there, and then if Nefertiti's in there, his mom, right? It's possible that she's in there. I wonder if his dad's in there, if they just like got rid of his dad, because the dad would have been the more problematic one that the people would have hated. So I would think that they probably did something like that. Yeah. Was Egypt the first to use flamethrowers or pine resin they had? Some advanced weapons? I'm not sure. I've never really researched. I've never been into war. That was always like a thing all the time. Every time I took, there was ancient history that you could take in school, and all they ever covered was war. And I'm like, I'm more interested in like religion, sociology, economy, like war is not that I'm really not interested in war. I don't like, I look at the history of it and I read a history of our war like recently, like our wars and stuff, but like I don't find it that fascinating. So I tend to not really look at war. I look at like the everyday life and then the social aspects of things. That's what I like to look at myself. So yeah, I don't really know what kind of weapons they had, but they were a powerhouse. So I imagine that they probably did really well at war. Yes, it would make sense.
And organic materials behind the walls. But subsequent studies have been inconclusive, and the Egyptian government has been very cautious about authorizing invasive explorations of one of the most famous tombs from the ancient Egyptian kingdom. Okay, so to recap, we don't know where Nefertiti came from, who her parents were, and we don't know what happened to her after her husband Akhenaten died. It's possible that she was supposed to be interred into the royal tomb at the city of Akhetaten of her husband, Akhenaten, after her death. But his royal tomb was never finished, as he seems to have died quite suddenly. Therefore, her chamber in the tomb was also never finished, and thus not used to place her body. So we know that Akhenaten's body was first interred into the royal tomb and then later on was removed from his royal tomb at Akhetaten, modern-day Amarna, a few years after he died, when the family moved back to Thebes, modern-day Luxor. Akhenaten's mummy seems to have been placed in tomb KV55 in the Valley of the Kings, although there is a possibility that the mummy found in this tomb is Smenkare, who could be a brother or nephew of Akhenaten and thus would share some genetic markers with both Tutankhamun and So, if the mummy in tomb KV55 is indeed Smenkhare, that means that Akhenaten's mummy is still unaccounted for. And we know that Nefertiti's mummy has also never been found, even though lots of claims of mummies being Nefertiti have been made over the years, and there has never been conclusive evidence, and that suggests that we haven't found her mummy yet as well. So genetic studies are becoming better and better as time goes by, and I personally believe that if we had found either Akhenaten or Nefertiti's mummy, or both, it would have been absolute major breaking news, and the evidence brought forth would have been without a doubt. So any of the claims that have been made so far about a mummy being either Akhenaten or Nefertiti, we already know it's not them, because there hasn't been evidence brought forth without a doubt. And since this is not the case, I'm personally of the belief that their tombs, and thus mummies, were never found. And that makes me personally believe that the ancient Egyptians may have had a hand in their disappearance. This ancient Egyptian couple that ruled over Egypt was very controversial, and honestly, they were seen as heretics after they died. They were loathed and even hated by some. So there is a chance that some of the Egyptian people, after Tutankhamun ascended the throne, were still so mad with both Akhenaten and Nefertiti that they may have stolen their mummies and obliterated their tombs, leaving no trace of the ancient couple. They may have burned the mummies, not granting them the pleasures of the afterlife.
Yeah, I could see them burning them. I feel like that's probably what happened, to be honest. And then King Tut and his wife or whatever moving immediately back to the original city, either did it because they realized that they would end up being like murdered by people, like maybe even their parents were assassinated, you know what I mean? Like they may have moved back to the original one and reintroduced everything how it used to be out of fear for their own lives. Or I mean, he was pretty young though, and he died pretty quickly. King Tut did not reign for very long because he had a ton of health issues. So either that, or like it's either pressure from the people, or they really hated their parents and just wanted, they didn't know what life, I guess, was like before that, but like, I guess maybe that they wanted to appease the people. I don't know. King Tut, I don't think he reigned for very long. Let me double check. It was very short, I'm pretty sure. King Tut. How old when he died? He was very young. He was like 18 years old. So he reigned for like 10 years then, which is pretty long still. Because he started at age 8. No, he started at age 9. So he reigned for about 9 years then. Yeah, like he had a broken leg. Well, a lot of people actually believe that it's a genetic defect, like it was like a bum leg. He suffered from malaria, and he had a bone disease, which is why he was like all weird shaped and like hobbled over or whatever. So, because he wouldn't have known about what life was like before his dad moved everything, right? So he must have done it because the people pressured. Which then it's like, did his wife tell him or did advisors? I'm assuming, I guess, advisors probably told him. So it's interesting. But I could see the people just wanting the bodies burned or something, and they would just appease them because of the situation. Yeah.
Which is quite the extreme punishment, but it does sound fitting when we look at how angry the people had been with the decisions they had both made. They wrecked a kingdom that was a powerhouse when he ascended the throne. It's even possible that after Akhenaten died, Nefertiti reigned over Egypt under the name of Nefer-Neferuata, and it's possible that she was possibly assassinated, and that led to Tutankhamun becoming pharaoh and the royal family abandoning Akhenaten and moving back into the old capital of Thebes, which then led to reinstating their polytheistic beliefs, worshipping the pantheon of the ancient Egyptian gods again, and letting go of the worship of the Aten. So yeah, it is possible that Nefertiti was murdered and her body was destroyed or discarded. They may have left no trace not granting her the pleasures of the afterlife as final punishment for her heresy. Do I have proof of any of this? No, because there's absolutely no trace of either of them left. But this is what I personally feel could have possibly happened. Pharaohs in ancient Egypt were seen as living gods. But when one of those living gods changes your beliefs and forces you to believe in one god, then has the audacity to uproot your entire life, wrecks trade agreements, be in constant war with the Hittites, and all the while the crops start failing, your living god may be seen as a monster. And when he suddenly dies and his wife takes over, ruling in the same exact manner, you may be so fed up with everything that you want to take matters into your own hands. It honestly isn't too far-fetched. It really isn't. But that leaves me with one question. What do you think happened to Akhenaten and Nefertiti? Will we ever find their tombs and their mummies? Or do you think, like me, that they are lost forever? Let me know in the comments down below. As you can see, it took a while between my last upload and this one.
Alright. I mean, that's the end of the video. She just like, at the end of each of her videos, she kind of tells whatever's going on in her personal life. But yeah, so it's interesting. I personally would think that the bodies were destroyed. Like they did piss off the people. They did bad. They did bad to their people. But I do wonder though, like, is behind him, is it King Tut's wife? Because they actually don't have her body or know where her body is too. So it would make sense maybe that it would be his wife in the chamber behind him. And then the mother and father are just destroyed. Like they just like got rid of their bodies. So, but yeah, I think it's interesting. There's a lot of stuff there involved in it. Very controversial couple. And then also like most famous mummy ever as well on earth is King Tut. So even through the thousands of years, they still are playing like a big role in everyday life. Like people talk about them and know about them. So it is interesting. Always the controversial leaders are the ones that people constantly talk about, right? It is like all the really good leaders that are just, you know, status quo or whatever made things better. People rarely talk about them, I've noticed. And that's kind of sad. It's like bad survives the good over time, but yeah. Anyway, I thought that was interesting. And I think I'll probably end the stream here. I gotta wake up as well tomorrow I gotta watch Mini Minute Man as well. I gotta wake up tomorrow as well for the doctor's appointment, so bleh, I have to go deal with that too. Yeah. It's a mess, it's a mess. Yeah, this shit's like messed up. I don't know if you guys seen those pictures, but damn, man. Damn. And this Alberta premiere is ugh, gross. All right, well, thank you guys for hanging out. The mother and father were aliens. No, they're no aliens. They're just human beings. Everyone always thinks Egyptians were aliens. They're just human beings. Like, people are nuts. Certainly hope you wake up tomorrow. Yeah, I have like, I know, I gotta wake up. I have to go to the appointment though, because I need my meds refilled too. But then I have to I have appointments as well after that, and I have a bunch of running around to do, and the groceries and all the other crap. So then I have to do garbage and recycling, and that's like a big job. But yeah, it's been so cold and so much snow that I'm only doing the recycling on the garbage weeks, because we do garbage every other week here. So there's a lot of recycling. So a lot of cardboard and crap I have to break down. So yeah. Another guy in Canada who claimed to be a time traveler had to get rid of Mountain Dew because it made people infertile. I don't know that story, but there's a lot of people that claim to be time travelers. They're all nuts. And especially if you're on TikTok a lot, you'll see a lot of like garbage in, garbage out, you know? But yeah, it's nice to talk to you guys. Thanks for hanging out and just doing something different, because I know like we're constantly having to talk about this crap. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff going on. All right, but I will talk to you guys later, and yeah, I'll see you guys. I have to figure out what the hell I'm gonna make a video about this week. I want to do that one psychic, but I need to figure out if I have the energy too. So we'll see. I have to figure it out. All right. I will talk to you guys later and have a good night. All right. Bye bye. Bye bye.